What do you say? Let's boogie.
And that is my cue to start the show. Welcome to another edition of the Hard Rockin' Sports Show, live from High Top Hard Rockin' Sports Studios in beautiful scenic Monroe, New Jersey. We are your 3-hour weekly get-together. We bring you all the biggest news around the worlds of hard rock, heavy metal, and, of course, the wide world of sports. And thank you guys for joining us on March the 31st in the year of our Lord, 2022. And it is actually light out at this point, and that means we are heading into the good times. That's right. That's right. Well, I'm used to starting this show in the pitch dark, but we got a little light outside, and it's only going to get lighter. And the weather's getting warmer after a couple of really cold days this week, especially Monday. But maybe we'll settle into some 50s and 60s. Today was in the 70s. But anyway, listen, I hope your week's been good. It's been interesting for me. It's tiresome. Lots of stuff going on in the personal life. We got house renovations almost done. We're closing in on. I can see the end of the end zone, so to speak. I'm on the 5-yard line to finish. So thank God for that. Work's busy. Thank God for that. Not much of a social life. We haven't had one, but what the hell? Maybe we'll get one in the next couple of months. So, but for now, we're Thursday night. We're here at the Hard Rockin' Sports Show. We got one guest tonight. We had an interesting guest last week. This week we got some of the members, or all the members of the band True Grit. They're a band based out of Las Vegas. They'll be joining Jeff and I about 7:45. In the meantime, there's plenty to talk about this week. No shortage of sports and music topics. So we'll get to all of that in the next few seconds. My dad's going to pop up. I see him already there. But no time like the better to get this show started. And there's only one way that I know how to get the Hard Rockin' Sports Show started in 2022. And that's by bringing on my dear friend, the backbone of the Hard Rockin' Sports Show, the sexiest man in his house, and a hell of a bass player, my man, Jeff Towin. What's up, brother?
What's up, man? What's going on?
Just kicking off the show, brother. Just kicking off the show. Show number 533 right now.
Wow.
Yep.
We're a lot of shows.
Dude, there's a lot of shows. And, last week we had, we always goof around about who's listening in different countries. And we actually had a guest. We had somebody pop up from Liberia.
Yeah.
And I thought that was interesting. So, when we go to those 1% and 1%, I guess there is somebody huddled in a tent someplace, or in a cave, or
under a lion skin.
Under a lion skin someplace, and they're actually listening to the Hard Rockin' Sports Show. So, what the hell?
You got to wonder, like, while they were watching, did a leopard come in their house or something? You don't know what could happen.
The leopard could be a pet for all we know. We don't know. It could be tomorrow night's dinner. We have no idea.
I don't know about dinner. They could be dinner tomorrow night, you mean?
That's very true. But, Jeff, let's get this show kicked off like we always do each Thursday night when we crank it up. And when we do that, I ask you the magic words. Jeff, how was your week?
Long week, but it's over. Thank God.
It's over. So you got a couple of days off tomorrow. Normal couple of days off.
Yeah, laundry, banking, breakfast, naps, stuff like that.
Sounds good. That's good. We got more band stuff. I heard another show's been launched for the Deceiver band in June, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen there. Just let's play that one day at a time.
One day, one practice.
Yeah.
At a time. All right.
Yeah, we're talking now. Saturday will be 2 weeks since we've seen one another.
Okay. Yeah. Not a good thing.
Well, worry about shows too much.
Well, you have the gig and you get a little time away from each other. Kind of makes the heart grow fond, that type of thing.
Well, normally when people go on tours that last for 3 years, they may do that. Yeah, one show. I don't know.
You're saying back to nose to the grindstone, right back at it, type of thing.
I believe, I believe that should be what we do.
Okay, well, let's see. Maybe this band's got a different strategy. We'll see how. You got the big show coming up in May with 25 Missions.
Yeah,
which is good. So good for you. Lots of good stuff happening in the music field for my man Jeff.
Well, let's see what happens. It didn't happen until it happens.
That is very true. So good for you. But in the meantime, we got a couple hours of sports and music talk. No shortage of stuff in the what we call the off season in football, Jeff. The carousel spins. So many different things to get to tonight. We'll talk about your old coach, Todd Bowles getting another shot at a title. We'll get to that. We'll talk
That's all right.
about
If you think they're going to win the title with Todd Bowles,
we'll get to that. I do want to get some non-sports and music conversation in because I do want to bring up the Chris Rock, Will Smith situation. So I want to get that in there tonight. I want to talk about Disney a little bit. Don't know if you know, Disney sparked a little outrage this week. I want to get that out on the show.
yes, I know. Disgusting.
Okay. Yep. So we're going to talk about that. We got a little Rangers. Julius Randle says, the rumors he wants out. Now he comes out today and says, "Oh, that's not the case." We got let's see what else is on my list. The Rangers playing great hockey. The Browns may go into the season with this century's version of Montana and Young with keeping Baker Mayfield. I'll see how Jeff feels about that. The NFL has a new overtime rule. I'm definitely looking forward to Jeff's comments on that. We'll talk about the Panthers, the favorites to win the Super Bowl. The Scorpions play MSG. We'll talk about that. Taylor Hawkins passes away. We'll get to that tonight. New MSG album, Tyreek Hill. Deshaun Watson has his press conference. John Mara, Bruce Arians, the Rams, and I don't know how to keep their salary cap in play, and anything else that may pop up during the show, Jeff. And like I said, we had the band True Grit popping up at about 7:45 for about a 5-minute interview because Sam got me some information. Looking forward to talking to those guys. Seem like an interesting band, Jeff.
All righty.
So let's kick off the show. My dad's hanging in there. Let's get my dad on early. Let's see what he's got to say, and then we'll get right into all the festivities. Are you ready?
Yep.
And let's see. How do I do that again? Oh, yeah, here we go. I'm like, what's up, Pop?
What's up, guys? How you doing?
Good. What's on?
How you
What's
doing, Mr.
going on,
Ford?
Dad?
No, not much. I watched a few of the games, and I think the Yankees were in a lot of trouble.
Okay. Why do you think that?
Well, their pitching's terrible. Severino's down again.
Oh, yeah. He did throw a bullpen session today and said that he did not feel any aches and pains. So
I know, but your arm doesn't hurt for no reason.
all right.
It doesn't just come in.
Oh, I got you.
And he's constantly hurt, and I don't know. I look at that team and there's nothing.
Well, I disagree. That I think that they know.
What do you think you're going to get out of Cole this year?
Dad, you know what? He pitched He had 30 starts last year. He was second in the Cy Young. I think you're going to get exactly the same season from Garrett Cole. Is he going to win 25 games? No. Is he going to win 17, 18? Yeah. This team will win 95 games, 94 games. Because they can hit the crap out of the ball, but they'll lose in the playoffs because it's the same old team. It's the same. There's no different than they were last year. Now, think about it, Dad. What's different from last year with this team? They won 92 games last year and made the playoffs.
Their pitching is it's undependable. There's nobody Cole was brought up here to be a stopper and to win the big game.
Yeah.
He really hasn't showed me. I don't know.
I agree with you, Dad. I'm not.
Right.
You're Dad. I think you're 100% right. Cole was brought here to win 22 games this season, get to the postseason, and win those big games, and he hasn't done it. And I agree with you. But I'll say again, the Yankees will find a way to win 90-something games. They'll get to the playoffs, whether there's a wild card. Maybe they'll win the division. I doubt it. I don't think they're the best team in their division, but okay, they'll get to the playoffs and they'll probably lose because Cole will go into Boston or Tampa and he'll get beat. And the problem with this team is going to be the same as it's been for the last 4 or 5 years. They're a good regular season team, but when you get in the playoffs, they strike out too much and they don't come up with the big hit. So.
They don't have the pitching for the playoffs.
I agree, Dad. I'm not arguing. But the Yankees will still win 90-something games.
You could get away with it.
Yeah.
I just think. I will see what happens.
Yeah.
But you're giving them 95. I'll be honest. I think that's a lot.
Well, again,
for some reason, this team just looks like. You have too many. God knows, you have too many strikeouts.
Agree,
Too many guys.
but they had it last year too. but they had it last year too. And what you got to hope is that at the end of the you got to think that at the end of the day, Rizzo and Gallo will be better than Andujar and Voit were last year when before the Yankees got them. And I've liked what I've seen out of Gallo so far this year. He's hit well. He's still going to strike out a lot. He's a damn good outfielder, and I like Rizzo at first base. So I think their lineup is good. I like Donaldson at third. I think he's going to hit. The question becomes, and you're 100% right, when you get to the playoffs and you need a big hit, who's not going to strike out? That's the question, and that hasn't changed. But
And who's not going to get hurt?
yeah,
You got a third baseman that gets hurt. You got a center fielder that gets hurt.
yeah,
I mean, the two corners, the left and the right fielder. The judge, I think he's going to give you a decent year,
yeah.
at least.
Mhm.
Okay, and the other guy, I don't know. Last year he had a great year.
Yeah.
Is he going to go back to back?
I don't know. I think the good thing is they don't have to rely on Hicks if he goes down, and if Donaldson goes down, then LeMahieu plays third base every day, and you live with it. I'm not saying it's but think about it. Last year, they had a ton of injuries last year. They still wound up winning 92 games. They still made the playoffs. I got beat in the first round in the playing game. So I think you're right now, as it's going. I think if you're looking at the same type of season, unless they make a move for a pitcher mid-season, depending on where they are. We'll see. I don't know.
Pitcher.
Mhm.
Pitcher. The catcher, I think they can get away with what they got.
Yes.
for catcher.
Yeah, I like Higashioka.
I'm scared for third base. For some reason, I don't see this guy
Don-
Donaldson playing.
Donaldson's a good player. Yeah, he's got to stay healthy,
He's
but
a good
yeah.
good player.
yeah, and again, doesn't have to be the man here. Maybe he doesn't have to play every day. Maybe he can DH a little bit more. They got LeMahieu. They're going to get him some time. So maybe you work him through the season and you get a year out of him. We have the only thing you can't account for is injury. So who knows who's going to get hurt, who's going to play well.
True.
But if you look at position by position, it's still a good team for the regular season. They'll get 90 plus wins. I think it's 95, but I could be off on that.
I just don't, because I'm watching them and I'm more impressed with some of the kids coming out of the farms.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's a good sign. They could trade. We had some guys to trade. I think this kid Volpe's played well. I liked some of the pitches. Clark Schmidt's look pretty good, but he just needs to stay healthy. So there's some stuff to like about it. But again, the pitching's going to come down to Cole, Montgomery, and Severino. And then after that, you have Cortez. You got Tyon. You got a couple of guys. That they'll get through the season. And like I said, there's enough bad teams out there. They'll win 90-something. Maybe come in second in their division. We'll see.
I think a lot of people get this. I mean, from what I'm understanding, they're not even sold out yet.
No, there's still 4,000 seats left. There's 4,000 seats left for opening day.
That's tough.
Yeah, I agree with that. But Jeff, do you it's early April. The weather's still a little chilly. It's and people are hurting for money. Jeff, do you take any stock in the fact the Yankees haven't sold out opening day against Boston?
You know what? I think a lot of it has to do with a lot of different things. I don't think there's a ton of people that are totally over the whole COVID thing.
Yep.
That's one thing. Second, I think that the price of tickets and going to a game is so expensive that a lot of people don't want to waste the money right now on it.
Sure.
I think that has a lot to do with it. And when millionaires fight and squabble, people get offended.
I agree 100%. And I also think that they announced today, I think there's 15% of Yankee games will not be on the Yes Network or Channel 11. It's going to be on. Now it's all going to be free, but it's all free, but you got to go searching. So you want to watch a Yankee game on a Friday night, sometimes you got to find it on Apple TV. If you want to watch on a Sunday night, you got to find the Peacock Network, which are all free networks. No. These are all free. These are free. They're right now. Yeah, but you got to go looking for it. So the games will be free for now. Eventually, you'll be paying for it. There's no doubt.
Apple TV, as in Apple from iPhone TV.
Yeah,
that's not free.
There's an Apple. There's a version. I don't know if it's Apple Plus.
No, you got to pay for Apple.
No, I'm telling you, there's a version. I'm almost positive. Now, again,
No,
maybe
I have an iPhone, and when I got the iPhone, one of the things they said is that I could have signed up for Apple TV free for 3 months. Then I would have got hit with like $6 a month. So you got to pay for Apple TV. There's no free Apple TV.
I'll check on it, but I'm almost positive whatever streamed through Apple this version is, it's free this year to watch baseball games. So they're just trying to draw people. Now, I don't know. Yeah, listen, they're doing it with Netflix now. Netflix is going to charge. Used to be you can have 5 people on your account. So one person has a $10 account or whatever they charge you. And then everybody, you can have 4 other people on it for free. Now, I think starting in the near future, everybody who's on your account has to pay $8.99. So to get a discount.
I don't watch it anyway, so it doesn't.
I don't do a lot of Netflix. I watch a lot of Amazon, which comes with Amazon Prime, which comes with if you have an Amazon Prime account, the TV comes with it for free. So I watch a lot of documentaries and stuff on that. So, but they're all headed that way. I mean, I can have bunch of people on my Amazon account. It's not a problem right now, but eventually they're all going to go to pay.
You think you're going to get rid of cable and save money? Yeah. You're going to get it one way or another.
Oh, absolutely. So, well, yeah. Again, listen. For me, the live sports is hard to find on all these services. I know they say it's out there. It's not all out there, and even some of that stuff when you get it, you don't get the local game. So if you were looking for a Ranger game on whatever streaming service it's on, they block them out in the New York area. So either way, you're screwed. So it is what it is. But again, Dad, they're going to make it tougher. Hopefully, the product is so good you're going to want to go searching for it. But in the meantime,
searching for it is one thing. Paying for it is something. I never thought in my life that I would pay this much money for cable, and it's outrageous what they did. I remember when I first saw it. It was in a newspaper, and they made it to be the best thing to wheel. And anything that was at Madison Square Garden, whether it was a concert, a circus, a basketball, Ranger game, anything in the garden was free.
Yep.
I mean, whatever you bought, that you'd get the whole package.
Yep.
Now, and then there was going to be no commercials. And you could kiss that goodbye. It's a shame.
Well, that's how they make the money. Thanks, Pops.
Yeah. All right, guys. Have a good night.
Okay.
And I'll probably see you tomorrow.
You got it, Pops. I'll let the wife. If there's any problem with that, I'll call you. You got it.
Okay, good night.
See you, Pop.
See you later, Mr. Florio.
That's my dad. Checks in every week with us. Always good to have him on. We'll get back to the show. So yeah, Jeff. So all the sports are headed that way. I think the Thursday night football package, I believe, is now on Amazon. Or is it Sunday night? I think it's Thursday night. Thursday night's on Amazon. Sunday night, I think some of those games are going to be on Peacock at some point. I got to look it up. But, they're all headed to streamers. Everybody's going to make every buck. I mean, when is it enough? Here's the question I got to ask. When is it enough for these teams? I mean, they were talking to some guy yesterday who has like medium priced. I think it's like his games are $325 a ticket, the seats he has for the Nets, right? So they sent them out the playoff package. So I don't know.
First of all, that's medium price for a sporting event, $325 a ticket.
Yeah, because down low it's like $1,000. Up in the bleachers is like $90. So it's like $300 is like mid bowl probably. So yeah, so he got sent his. I don't know how many tickets he's got. If he had 2, if he had 4, I didn't do the math. I'll assume he had 4 seats. So to buy the entire package for the playoffs, because there's increases for the playoffs, and depending on which round it is, to buy the entire thing, Jeff, sit down. You sitting down yet?
I'm going to take a guess.
Go, yeah. So think about this. It's 4 rounds. You can have up to 4 games per round, depending on if you're the home or the seating. Right. Got it. So how much do you think 4 seats to Nets playoff games to figure 16 games?
Now, real quick, let's see if you know, because this would make a difference in figuring this out. Does that include anything, any other kind of package with those tickets? Parking, free food, free anything?
Don't believe so. I believe it's just the seats.
Okay. I'm going to go out on a limb, $12,000.
You're not even close.
Really?
If you times that by 5, you wouldn't even be close. $80,000.
No.
Jeff.
For where the seats?
Again, they're mid-level, and this the Barclays Center.
So somebody wants you to spend mid-level seats. All right, figuring there's 100, 200, 300 seatings.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Right? So 200 level seatings. It'll be $80,000 for 4 rounds of the playoffs. At best, you're getting 4 games.
16 games.
16 games if they brought every series to 7
So
and
it's
went to
20,
the championship.
$20,000 for 1 seat for 16
Oh my
games.
God.
So I think he said the second round of the first round of the playoffs was, I think, $700 a seat. The next round of the playoffs was like $1,600 a seat. I think again 20-something hundred for the next round, and then the championship round was like $3,000 or $4,000 per seat.
God.
Yeah, I'm saying to myself, if I was a huge sports fan, and I am a pretty big sports fan, and I had the money, would I ever give $80,000 for 4 seats or $20,000 for 1 seat for 16 games? And I said I couldn't do it. I couldn't even think of a scenario where I went, well, this is like the last time I'll ever get to see my team. I got it. I can't think of a rational reason that I would fork over that kind of money, Jeff. I think it's
because there is no rational reason, Tom. There is absolutely, positively no rational reason under the sun for spending that kind of money on sporting tickets on any kind of event.
Yeah,
not just sporting, any kind of event.
Yeah. I think I told you this. I'm not sure if I ever told you, but when we went to go see Sabbath out at the in Long Island, I don't even remember what the seats cost. That doesn't matter. But there was an opportunity to do one of those meet and greet things. And I remember sitting there just trying to justify spending, I want to say it was $900 a seat. It was also the backstage stuff. You get to talk to Ozzy. And I was like this close. I was like, how many times? And I chickened out. I said, I just can't for the life of me sit there and legitimize that I'm going to spend, $2,000 essentially for us to go backstage for 15 minutes. We get all these packages. We get a little better seats. Blah, 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 blah. Yes, Leonard, thank you very much. It's a show, Little League of Free. And the hot dogs are pretty good if they're still cooking them. But then I look, and Jeff, you look at these games in the playoffs, and they're packed. So somebody's going. I don't know who it is, but somebody's going to these games.
I don't know. And imagine the scalp prices.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. If they're getting $2,600 face value, what are you getting for scalp tickets?
God only knows, dude.
Yeah, so that's why most of these seats in the playoffs are usually bought out by corporations, and then they're given away to either employees or people they're trying to do business with. That's why when you get to the playoffs, most of the time, these are not the guys who've been sitting in the seat all year.
No, of course not. Of course not. They're definitely they never are hardly ever are.
Oh, don't ever send me messages like that again, please.
Hey, listen, it's got to be said.
Okay, go ahead.
Better to say it there.
Yeah, I agree. That's probably could have got you suspended again from Facebook. By the way, tell everybody why did you get suspended from Facebook again?
It was Mark Zuckerberg or Fuckenberg, whatever his name is a jerk off. Okay, I was able to actually. They knew they were wrong.
Uh-huh.
And my last 3 offenses were all basically on the same thing, same time. Okay. That they took as bodily threats made from me to somebody else.
You were making bodily threats?
I wasn't.
I know.
First of all 3 comments were bodily threats, but they were fooling around amongst people that I know.
Right.
One was one day I said about retiring, and somebody said, "Oh, you're going to stay there forever." And I was like, "Listen, I would push my mother to the side if I had to go. You know what I mean? And I'll push you down too." It's a joke,
right?
That's how they took it. Next thing you know, you are banned.
Come on.
Yeah, this time, Will Smith got up, walked over to Chris Rock, and slapped him in the face.
Mhm.
Chris Rock hardly moved in my eyes.
Okay.
And I was like, man, I says, and he just stood there and took it. I says, I wouldn't have stood there taking it. And somebody said something, and I was like, like somebody I know fooling around. They're like, well, I'd like to hit you and see what happens. So I was like, go ahead and try. So come on and try. And next thing you know, bang, you're gone for 7 days. I'm like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. You've got to be kidding me. Yeah.
It's frightening. It really is frightening. It's frightening.
Yeah.
Who's sitting in some room someplace in their parents' basement reading these things and going, all right, Jeff's out. He's going to sit down for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Who
And
are
then,
these people?
then for the first time in all the times that I ended up getting nailed for something, they turned around and they offered me arbitration on it. From
Really?
A third party. Yeah. Yeah. So I filled out whatever I had to fill out.
Did you need an attorney to be present with you? I could have stood up for you. I could have been your attorney.
I went in it alone.
You went out it alone?
Yeah. You start it alone, you finish it alone.
You know what they say? A fool who's somebody who's his own attorney is a fool. That's all I can tell you.
Hell, and look who you're talking about. Probably been my own attorney for 55 years.
That's very true. Coming up on 56, my brother. Coming up. It's coming.
Yeah.
You don't seem so excited about this birthday. I gotta be honest
What's
with you.
that?
You're not so excited about this birthday. How come?
No, well, because I don't know what's going to happen for my birthday.
That's true.
And what I mean by that, it's like, you got to worry about, is World War III going to start because Biden opens his mouth? Not because he sent planes or anything over any place, just because he stands in front of a microphone and says something. But we got to live under the threat of nuclear war.
Right.
So close to my birthday.
That's true.
Okay. They free us from the grips of the coronavirus. What do they do? Here comes another variant.
Oh, please. Yeah.
So those are two things right there that could ruin the birthday party almost instantly.
Well, I got a surprise for you. We might have a special guest for your birthday.
Okay, that would be very cool.
I'm going to give you a little peek into your special birthday gift.
You're going to give me a peek?
Yep.
Fuck you, piece of shit.
Oh man, that would be great.
That's my dream for your birthday, Jeff. That is my dream. So
listen, that's everybody's dream for my birthday. It's to talk to him for 5 minutes. Some of the stuff he posts on social media has got to be some of the funniest shit.
Oh, absolutely.
Please tell me he believes everything he's posted.
I can only dream that is true. I can only dream that is true. Hard Rock and Sports, Jeff and Tom goofing away here a little bit, talking about Jeff's Facebook jail. So so tell me about the arbitration process. I'm fascinated. Do you meet with Mark Zuckerberg? Does he come to you personally? How's that work, Jeff?
Well, did they send a thing via email that you fill out, and they tell you that it's going to a third party, and you fill it out, and then I guess they made the decision instantly.
Oh, really?
And all of a sudden, there was like, I went back on to check to see what was going on, because they said that we don't get to all of them, and the next thing you know, I was bang down to 2 days. So I mean, evidently, you can fight and argue with some people left and right. You can fight and argue politics. You can fight and argue anything under the sun. But once you threaten to hit somebody, that's it. That's it.
Scary.
Yeah, it's a shame. It is a fucking shame.
Yeah, and there's a lot of crazy. You know what? Let's get to some of the crazy stuff. I don't know. Let's do the Will Smith stuff. I want to hold the Disney stuff till after our guest, and then we got plenty of sports and music for you guys tonight. Just want to kind of change it up a little bit. It's getting that time of year where not a hell of a lot to talk about sports and music wise, and even basketball and hockey are in the kind of the wind down phases. Hockey still got another month to go before the season's over. It's going to finish. Playoffs don't start in hockey till May 2nd. Scary.
Well, they usually would start in April sometime.
Yeah, exactly. But this year,
then the playoffs themselves would be over by June. A long process for playoffs.
Correct. Yes, and I don't know if they're sped up this year. They had a couple of weeks off, a little bit of a Corona break, and then they had a mid-season 2-week break for the Olympics that they were supposed to play at. which they did not. The pros did not go to, any of the active pros. So, yeah, let's talk about the Chris Rock thing just a little bit. We got a guest coming up in a few minutes. I obviously I don't watch the Oxys. Didn't even know they were on, to be honest with you.
Neither did I.
Woke up in the morning, saw the thing, and of course, the first thing you think of is, oh, it's fake, it's phony. Will Smith's not running on stage and slapping Chris Rock like a bitch. Then as you read it, you see it, and what convinced me, and there was a lot of people who thought it was phony, but to me, no matter, once he started cursing from his seat after the slap, you knew it had to be real.
Yeah, if it was fake, they took it a completely wrong way.
Yes,
I felt.
Yeah, again, now things have come out since then, because I said that, I didn't really care about either guy. So to me, this is just the woke mob finally going after each other. These are just, bunch of actors in a room, who finally know. But the thing I thought was funny was, like 2 days later, they were interviewing people like Amy Schumer, the comedian, Wanda Sykes, the comedian actor, and they're going, I'm so traumatized by this. I can't sleep at night. And I'm going, are you freaking kidding me? Are you that shallow in your life that Will Smith slapping Chris Rock has traumatized you?
Well, I got to admit, I'm a little traumatized myself, and I'll explain why.
Oh, please.
Okay? You get Will Smith,
Yeah.
and you had Will Smith train for the part of Muhammad Ali.
Correct.
Okay? One of the greatest heavyweight boxers of our time. Right? Would you not agree to that?
No argument there, Jeff. No argument. And Will Smith did a really nice job as Ali. I'm
sure he did.
He looked the part. I thought he looked like a professional boxer.
I'm sure he did. And he has that Ali build.
Yep.
Ali may be a little bit brawnier than him, but, he's tall and lanky, and so was kind of Ali at the point. He wasn't as big as some of these guys today. But you know what? Is that the best fucking punch that fucking Will Smith could throw? Yeah. Chris Rock is a 57-year-old man.
Yeah.
Almost 58, 57, 58 years old. His head barely fucking moved.
Yeah.
Okay. You're telling me that this is the best that can happen? You get up, walk across the stage because you were laughing at it seconds before that.
Yeah. Well, the wife got
her face.
Yeah.
And must have said, you need to take care of this.
Yes.
Okay, or I'm going home with somebody else after the Oscars
which she was probably going to do anyway.
Yeah, really. And then went and fucking barely fucking knocked the lint off this man's chin. Are you serious?
Yeah. Then he refused to leave. They came up to him, to Will Smith afterwards, and asked him to please leave, and he refused. Now, I don't want to take this to a race thing, but I gotta do a little bit, Jeff. I gotta give you one. What if
I think you know which way you're gonna go, but go ahead, please.
Yeah. Jeff, if that was Mel Gibson or Russell Crowe instead of Will Smith.
One more.
Go ahead.
Johnny Knoxville.
If it was anybody else beside Will Smith and the guy happened to be of a different color, do you think it would have been handled differently?
Oh, God. The marching that would have been done around the nation would have been unbelievable. Depending on who threw the punch, of course.
Right, but if it's if it
was a white announcer
and
the punch was thrown by Will Smith, okay, it would have been that we've finally woken up. We're not taking no more. We're standing up for ourselves. We're all the marching, all of the protests, they've all culminated to this. Mm-hmm. We stood up and we knocked the man out. We're now level. We're on level playing ground. Okay, right. Sure. Right. If it was a white guy that decked for them, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Business, there wouldn't be a fucking Models for miles. CVS would be nothing but a pile of ashes.
Yes. And Best Buy would have been a lot of TVs and air conditioners, because we all know, Jeff, in times of strife and pressure, free TVs are needed for everybody.
Well, yeah. I mean, listen, we don't live under that burden.
No.
And we don't understand what it's like to be slighted for centuries as a race. And the only thing that'll make you feel better at that point in time is a new 75-inch color TV.
Free color TV.
Free.
It's got to be free.
Because if there was anybody at the register, they would try to get it free anyway.
Absolutely, Jeff. So I thought that was an interesting part. I also thought it was interesting that I think it was Bradley Cooper and somebody else. Maybe it was Denzel Washington. I'm not sure. They used the word consoling.
Yeah.
Will Smith, and I said they should have been patting them down and putting the cuffs on them.
Listen,
consoling.
unless Will Smith was sitting there going completely off on himself.
Yeah.
Because he just flushed his fucking career down the toilet, hopefully.
Yeah.
All right. And that they're like, all right, listen, don't kill yourself. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. Okay. If they end, not for nothing, you want him out of there? He assaulted somebody.
Oh, absolutely.
He assaulted somebody on live TV. You get the cops. You just go over to him. Are you coming? No, we're coming out to get you. That's it. And you just go over there and you grab him and you take him off the stage. That's it. That's it.
Well, I think they were asked. Chris Rock was asked if he wanted to press charges, and he declined to press charges. Now, maybe Leonard's still on there. Can answer this for me, Leonard? Do the cops need Chris Rock to file a report? Can they arrest him based on what was basically seen by millions of people? Can he be arrested and tried for that without Chris Rock pressing charges? I'm curious if you're out there, Leonard. Let me know what you think of that one.
Well,
not sure.
I was just going to ask that question, but not the question you asked. But what would have happened if you were given the awards, and I got up and decided to slap you in the face? One, I don't think that you would have stood there like Chris Rock and just let me walk away. That's one thing.
Well, you know what? I got to stop you right there for half a second. I'm curious though, because you know what? I've been in situations where later on you go, I really should have did, and then I think it's the being still like I think Chris Rock thought Will Smith was going to come up there and play with him, goof with him, and I think at the end of the day he was so surprised by the slap that I think it took him a second. I also think he's a punk, and that Chris Rock, that he wasn't. He's not a fighter. He's not looking to throw hands. But I think he was. I'm going to give him a little bit of play here, Jeff, and say that I think that he was just surprised by it. You don't buy that?
One year, he was definitely surprised by it. Without a doubt, he was definitely surprised by it. But you want to know something? Somebody had to be in control in this situation. Yeah. And it's clear that Will Smith was not in control of the situation, not in control of himself.
Right.
Now, when Chris Rock got hit, Chris Rock fucking barely fucking moved his head. He looked more, if anything, it looked like he moved out of the way to lessen the blow, if anything. That's one thing that I thought. That's one thing. Okay. Second, when Will Smith did what he did, the way he walked over and everything else, what Will Smith should have done was stand next to fucking Chris Rock and explain to Chris Rock, let me explain to you, brother, why this is wrong. All right, because they could call one another brother all day long, no matter what's going on. Okay. And then explain, my wife doesn't like this. It's a tasteless joke. You hurt her feelings. You heard this. You may look like a jerk off being Will Smith doing that, but you're going to make Chris Rock feel like a jerk off.
Yeah.
And then you could turn around and just say, why don't you do the right thing and apologize to my wife in front of everybody like you just ripped on her? Okay. And realize exactly what the woman is going through. But then again, don't be like Will Smith and turn around and condone having an open marriage where your wife is fucking getting nailed by God knows how many other fucking people, and you do nothing to stop that. But at one time, Demi Moore was a big actress in this country.
Sure.
One of the biggest in Hollywood.
Oh, absolutely.
And you're comparing one of her biggest movies to the way that your wife looks right now. And to even say G.I. Jane 2, he wasn't saying it in an insulting way. He didn't turn around and say, "Oh, at least my wife don't look like a cancer victim."
Yeah. I don't think he knew. I think he thought she actually shaved her head because that's what she wanted. And here's the thing. Let me ask you this question. If you go to one of those events and you know that for a good part of the night, the host is usually a comedian of some sort, you get a possibility of you getting a little shrapnel. Do you think at that point it's tasteless for the comedian to do that? Like, some people are saying, well, Chris Rock should not have done that. Well, then why are you bringing up stand-up comedians to host these things or to be presenters, if you're sitting in the audience, should you accept the shrapnel that comes with it, or do you have a right to get pissed off if somebody hits
You
you?
were sitting in the first row.
Right.
You were sitting in the first row. Okay. Second, you're 100% right. When a comedian hosts something and he's saying stuff, whether it's maybe he's talking off the cuff or what, we don't know. Okay. But let's just assume that he was talking off the cuff while this was going on. Okay.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You said something that, you know what? If there's 10,000 people there, somebody's not going to like what he says it all the time.
Absolutely.
Somebody's going to be offended by what he says. Somebody's going to be pissed off by what he says. So you said something about this woman's hair. Okay. You compared her to Demi Moore, one of Demi Moore's biggest movies.
Sure.
I remember when Demi Moore went through that, all the training she did and everything else because of the role she was playing, and everybody that said all of this stuff about Demi Moore. And I was like, well, all right. So you said that you didn't know. If he had turned around and he was like, listen, I totally sorry. Even if they cut to a commercial, he came back and he was like, listen, I was just informed of something and I can't believe that I didn't know this. I apologize to Will and his wife for the comment I just made. I was wrong. I did not know the condition she was suffering from. My ignorance. I'm sorry. I want to make a donation to that charity, to whatever. Do something. You could have fixed that in 2 seconds without Will Smith getting stupid.
Agreed.
You know what I mean?
Agreed.
It's just total stupidity.
Well, we're going to get back to this. We got some Disney stuff. We got a lot of basketball. We got a lot of football. We got some music stuff we're going to get to all in the near future. But our guest is up on the line, and I'm looking to get him on here now. But again, guys, remember, Hard Rocket Sports is here every Thursday night, 7 to 9:30. Be on the lookout. We got our big NFL draft show coming up. That's right. The NFL draft is coming up on April 27th, and Jeff and I will be on the air like we always are for the first round. We'll stay as long as we're up. We haven't figured out if we're doing this in person or Jeff and I will be on the radio, on the TV, on the computer like we have been. We should be joined at least for part of it by our good friend John Marhefka. And, of course, by the way, be on the lookout for an upcoming show from the Sunday Audible. We'll be making an appearance in April for a quick, what would you call it, Jeff, a recap of the offseason?
Listen, I would take a recap. I think there's a lot that's been going on, and I think that it needs to be spoken about, to be honest with you.
Yep. So that'll be coming up in right before probably the Sunday before the draft. We'll get or maybe the Saturday before the draft. That way Jeff gets in and on that. But stay tuned. We got a website coming out. We got all sorts of gadgets coming for the Sunday Audible show, and of course the Hard Rocket Sports Show every Thursday night. But in the meantime, Jeff, we got to get our guest on. He is the guitar player and the singer. Very bluesy. You guys got to check this band out. True Grit out of Las Vegas. He is Joey Mazzone, and he is our guest on the Hard Rocket Sports Show. Joe, welcome to the show.
Hello, Tommy. Thank you for having me on. Nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you too. That's Jeff up in the corner. I'm Tom over here. So nice, Joe. Nice to have you a part of the show. Joe, I have to tell you, you guys have obviously an amazing blues, rock blues sound. I mean, I close my eyes, I hear Stevie Ray Vaughan when I listen to you guys, and I'm sure that's obviously an influence and all that. But you guys are a much younger band than I expected to hear after I saw you guys. Tell us how you guys got into that kind of influence, being in the younger generation.
I mean, I think for me personally, like it came a lot from like my parents. My dad raised me on Led Zeppelin and Hendrix and Stevie and all that good stuff as a kid. And then once I started playing guitar, I mean, obviously you're going to gravitate towards the greats. And I wanted to be different than the other people my age. You know, there's a lot of people my age playing metal and hard rock, and that music's great too, but I just wanted to be different. And I felt like this music gravitated more towards me.
Okay, now I got an extra question. I hope you don't mind me asking it. I got to ask it. How old are you?
I'm 22 years old.
Okay, and
I got T-shirts older than this kid. You got to be kidding me, right?
But when you listen to it, and here's the funny part. I put on some of their music during this last week, and I had it on at work, so I had it on another screen, so I didn't see the band. I heard the music, and I'm expecting 30s, 40s maybe, from the type of music, that the sound, And when I clicked over it, I went, that guy ain't 30 something years old. And that guy may be 18. I gotta take a harder look at this. But the interesting part I picked up on was, and I don't know if this is still true, but it says you picked up the guitar 6 years ago. Is that true?
Yeah, that's correct.
Wow. I have to tell you, for a guy who's, I've been trying to play guitar for a very long time, and I can promise you I sound nothing like you sound. So do you come from a musical family? How is it in your blood? And why so late I would say late in life, but most people pick it up at an earlier age.
My dad tried forcing me to play the guitar when I was younger, and I just wasn't having it. It wasn't until I was about 15 or 16 years old that I was writing all these song lyrics, but I didn't have any music to go along with the lyrics. So it was just basically poems. And I thought, why not try out the guitar? And then, yes, it is a little bit in my family. My godfather, who's also like my second cousin or whatnot, he has been playing blues guitar for 40 or 50 years. He backed up guys like Muddy Waters and Buddy Guy. And he was my teacher for a long time and still is. We still go over things. And yeah, he's definitely a big reason why I was able to progress at the rate I have.
I got a question for you that I have to ask. When you said that your influences were Hendrix and Led Zeppelin and Stevie Ray, I love Stevie Ray Vaughan. He's great. I like Stevie Ray the most out of those three. But each one of them brings a little something different to the table. As much as they're related, that's as much as they're different. How do you intertwine all three of them? Because I can see it's almost like must be like a fight for you to have one as more of a major influence than the other because of what they each bring to the table. Do you understand the question I'm trying to ask?
I totally understand. I think it's a little easier to incorporate Jimmy and Stevie with one another because Stevie was such a big fan of Jimmy. So that's, I look at Stevie as just a bluesier version of Jimmy. But you're definitely right. Led Zeppelin and Cream and other more psychedelic rock bands. It's I like to look at it as like a melting pot of stuff. I don't want to just sound strictly like one person. I mean, there's certain bands, I won't name names, but they sound like verbatim that band. And I don't want to have only one sound. So like saying
Greta Van Fleet.
They suck. They suck out loud.
Yeah, exactly.
They suck. Good George, Jeff, by the way.
No, we're not holding you to that. But
yeah, you know what? That's not Joey saying that. Jeff and I say we've been talking about this for how long? We've been talking about Greta Van Fleet, Jeff? 2 years?
Whatever happened to that band? They seem to they came on hot. Then thank God the fucking pandemic threw cold water on them, and now they're touring, but they're not. They don't have the same momentum they once.
You're right. They were becoming the next Dave Grohl. They were showing up everywhere, and boy, oh boy, I hate them. I swear, it's just horrendous music. But
well, we're knocking him off track. Please, I'm sorry. Go on.
Sorry, Joe. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. Like Santana says it best. If you steal from one person, you're going to get copyright issues. If you steal from a bunch of people, it's called research. So, and that's how I look at it. Like all the great artists like Jimi Hendrix and Stevie, they don't just listen to one person. They gravitate and take from all these different artists. And that's how you make your own sound. I do have to say, though, Greta Van Fleet, I do give them props because even though they do sound a lot like Led Zeppelin, I'm just glad to see somebody my age playing this type of music. You know what I mean? And
everybody says that. Everybody says the same thing.
Exposing this generation to that type of music because, a lot of my generation isn't gonna listen with open ears to.
But if you're exposing them to very bad music, you're chasing them away.
Yeah. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? I get your point. Don't get me wrong, but if you're influencing them with bad music, going, I'm not listening to Led Zeppelin. If these guys sound like Led Zeppelin, I'm not, and I'm not a Led Zeppelin fan. They're great. I'm just not a fan of that type of music. But Greta Van Fleet should not be ever. If I was Jimmy Page, I would come to one of their concerts and shoot them.
You know what? Part of the problem with
Will Smith them. That's one of them.
Yeah. Part of the problem I have with Greta Van Fleet, and not with you, but people in your age bracket, it's when I was that age, I could not get into Led Zeppelin and some of the stuff that they were playing. I didn't like that bluesy sound. Now, I'm not a huge fan of that bluesy sound now, and I'm 55. But I've learned to appreciate it and listen to it a lot more. I don't think Greta Van Fleet, for example, would get the fan base that maybe they're due because of their talent, because they're playing such a variety of music that maybe a lot of people in that age bracket aren't going to like.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like you and your talents are probably looking to appeal to a little bit of an older crowd than what you're actually in. Because I could see other people being ready for that kind of music. Whereas when I was 22, I wanted to hear something that went 1,000 miles an hour.
Mm-hmm.
That was, thrash, Metallica, and stuff like that. I wasn't able to appreciate music like that. And I hope that you're able to get the audience that you want and do the right thing for yourself. But I think it's really hard, for that genre of music that you're playing. But I give you a lot of credit, man.
Yeah, I agree with you. It is hard to appeal to a younger audience, but in my personal experience, when I've played at shows that had younger fans there, like for example at some of these venues that allow all ages and whatnot, we had a lineup of 5 or 6 different bands that were all that super heavy metal stuff, and I played "Dust My Broom" by Elmore James, and I had metalheads that were normally headbanging, dancing to 50s blues rock. So it's a little, I get what you're saying, but I think they accept it a little bit more if it's coming from a younger person.
Yeah, it's very possible. I got to give you credit for, "Dust My Broom." Wow. The first time I heard that was just a few years ago. So, man, you've done your research, man. I give you props for that, man, without a doubt.
You got to go way back.
I see that.
Hey, Joe, so tell us a little bit about the band. How did you guys get together? How long you been together? What do you guys done so far?
So we actually met on Craigslist, of all places, where I was putting up ads for bass players and drummers, and I met our current bass player and drummer through there. And the band's been playing for about 2 years. We were established in 2020. And now we're recording music and putting out singles, and we've got a show coming up at the Foundation Room here in Las Vegas at Mandalay Bay, April 7th. So we're just working on playing as many places we can here on the Strip and Fremont Street, or if the opportunity arises to tour, we'd be open to that. And just the goal is just to get our music heard to as many people as possible.
Well, I tell you what, I give you credit because you guys 2 years ago, you picked a hell of a time to get in the band together. So hopefully you guys were able to practice a lot, maybe write some music, which I've gotten to listen to, and you guys write great stuff. And that's, of course, that's Joey Mazzone. He's the guitar player who, along with drummer Will Richards and bass player Nick Stevenson, form True Grit. They're out in the Las Vegas area. So make sure you get down to see these guys play. It's well worth it. And listen, don't prejudge. These guys can kick it. They bring some good old fashioned blues rock to the table. So make sure you check them out. So I've seen lots of videos. Is there, do you guys? I didn't see anything as far as like an EP or an album. Is there anything in the near future? You guys putting some recordings out there?
Yeah. So we've got our next single coming out around late April or early May. We're still trying to figure out some details with the distributing company, getting everything lined up so it goes to the correct account. It's just a cluster fuck of issues with trying to get that all sorted out. But yeah, we've got the single coming out, and then in the late fall or early winter, we're going to have our album released, Bitten by a Snake. Nice.
So, to back to Jeff's point a little bit, when you're writing, boy, I'm always curious on how, when you write, do you guys go out and do you write when you write? Because I don't know, speak for the other guys. Do you go out there with a certain type of song you're trying to write that fits inside of a cube of an album, or is it just whatever comes out? And if it sounds like Stevie Ray Vaughan, or if it sounds like Led Zeppelin, who cares? Or how does it how do you figure out what you're trying to put on a record?
Well, I like to just write whatever's coming to me because whatever comes natural is going to become the best product. And then take all the songs you have and see which ones would fit cohesively in an album, because just because a song is really good doesn't mean that it's necessarily fit for that album or that time period or EP or whatever. So this album that we have coming up, we really put a lot of thought into and trying to be different, because most of the albums nowadays are just like a compilation of singles and it just sounds like one random thing after another. We wanted this work of art to have continuity, like how the old days when you put on a vinyl record and each song kind of flowed from one to the next. And that was kind of our thought process behind creating this album. And if it was influenced by Stevie or Jimmy or whoever, that's fine. But even if it is influenced by Stevie or Jimmy or Zeppelin or anybody like that, it still has a True Grit sound to it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Oh, what happened there?
Yeah, that's called trying to produce the show as you're going. So I had to get a banner up there. Yeah, Jeff. Sorry.
I got a question. I've been thinking, listening to everything you say and everything. I gotta ask out of curiosity more than anything else. You say you're a big Hendrix fan and Stevie Ray fan and Zeppelin fan and Cream and a couple others that you mentioned. So what guitar are you using if you're a blues guy? I'm curious to see what you're using.
For our live performances, I'm using a white American Professional Stratocaster for
So,
the.
Is that your main guitar? Because a lot of blues guys use that, and that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I would say that's my number one guitar. And then I also have a custom-made Telecaster. It's a little different than the traditional Telecaster. It's got a P90 in the neck and a Bigsby on it, so I can do some of that whammy bar vibrato. Well, it's not a whammy bar because it's Bigsby, but you know what I'm saying.
I hear you. I know a lot of blues guys like the Strat for the clean sound and everything, and Stevie Ray and Hendrix used the Strat, but then you had Page with the Les Paul, and a lot of blues guys, I seen them use the SGs, and then some of the other blues guys, the older blues guys, like what the fuck is his name? His guitar's name was Lucille. BB King. He had the hollow body Gibson. I was just curious to see which way you went with that, and that's cool to see that you're playing a Strat, man. I dig that.
Well, I have several guitars, and especially in the studio, when you want to kind of give each song a different color and texture, I do use a semi-hollow Gibson ES335, which is similar to something BB King would use. I do have Les Pauls and a traditional Telecaster, so I've got an assortment of tools under my belt that I'd like.
That's cool.
Do you try to use the same guitars? I mean, when you get out, I know you try to do it for the album, but when you get out and you're playing live, do you try to change guitars, or you try to primarily stick with one?
I like to switch it up to keep it fresh, and it's just each guitar brings something different out of you, and especially on what our set list is looking like. If we're covering certain songs that lend themselves to a certain guitar, I'll use that for that performance, but it really just depends on the show and stuff like that.
It's as me and Tommy have played in bands together in the past, and I know that it's such a pain in the ass to bring all of that stuff with you and set up 2 or 3 guitars, and I just bring one bass and tune it to whatever I have to tune it to and change tunings, and it's why my neck looks like a rubber band when I get done with a show or two. So I give you guys a lot of credit for taking different instruments, and just the thought of having to take that home and everything else, man, what a pain in the ass that is at times.
Yeah, it's definitely hard hauling the gear up, when venues don't have elevators or anything like that, and we have to take it up, 3-4 flights of stairs to get to the roof or something like that. that's
that.
when it becomes a pain in the ass. But
That's where you got to get your friends some free tickets.
yeah, exactly.
Grab
Help carry the load. But most of the time, they have like a good load-in place, and a lot of the venues that we're playing, considering they're professional venues, like the House of Blues and Backstage Bar and Billiards and the Rio and things like that. They're ready for musicians, so it's a little bit easier to load in over there. But yeah, I definitely hear you.
Yeah.
So Joe, to do me a favor, give everybody some websites and social media sites where they can keep up with what you guys are up to, and past and so they don't miss you guys, especially out in the Vegas area.
Yeah, so our website is truegritband.com, and then our Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube is at True Grit Band. Our Facebook is at True Grit Band Official. And if you want to hear our original material on Spotify or iTunes, just look up True Grit. Right now, we have our latest single, Fast Lane, out there, and the next single coming up is going to be New Kind of Game.
Oh, next time I'll talk to Sam about playing some of your music before the show, if that's okay with you guys.
Absolutely.
We love to open the show each week. Sam didn't send me any new music, but I got to her a little late in the day today instead of early. I got a little busy, so we'll do it on some future shows. And of course, we want everybody to support the band True Grit and Joey and the boys. One more thing, I did notice that one thing that I don't know if you're a sports fan, but I did notice that you had a little bit of a career in I think it was Taekwondo. So is that something you still mess with, stay in shape for being on? I know it's a lot of wear and tear playing shows, and you're very animated on stage. Is that something you keep up with, or is that something you just did for a short time?
Can I ask you how you found that out?
Joe, please. I got my secrets. I got my sources.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
By the way, Sam told me.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, no.
You had this kid scratching his head. You shouldn't have said anything, man. He wasn't sleeping tonight.
He's gonna be big in a couple of years. I want him to say, I like those guys. I don't want him to say that guy's a jerk off.
Yeah, no. So to answer your question, no, I don't keep up with it still. I don't still do that. I was actually a world champion in Taekwondo. I got a third degree black belt. But I would say that it still brings an influence to my performances because, when you're competing and doing competitions and stuff like that, you're putting on a show and you're in front of a lot of people. And so I would say it prepped me for the stage. And I think that's one of the reasons why being a performer and going on stage is something that comes natural. And the way I'm moving about on stage and just the amount of energy and stamina it takes to be that crazy is I'll definitely give some props to my older days of Taekwondo.
Yep, I made sense after I read that and then watched the videos. I said he might not keep up with it, but you could see how that's influenced his being prepared on stage and the energy level. So good for you. So guys, make sure if you get the chance to support Joe and his bandmates Will and Nikki, make sure you support the band True Grit. They're big fans. We're big fans here on the Hard Rock and Sports Show, and we look forward to having those guys back. And Joe, anytime you guys want to prep something, put something out there, or put something out for somebody to hear, or whatever, get some messages out. We'd love to have you back and bring your friends next time. If you're more than welcome.
Absolutely, thank you so much for having me, and I hope to be on the show again sometime soon.
Absolutely. Thank you. Good luck to True Grit, Joey, and the boys. And please go out there and make sure you support them. Joe, take care of yourself. Good luck and give our best to the rest of the guys.
You too. Thank you very much.
All right. There you go. Man. That's Joey Mazonja. Nice kid. You see these 22, 23-year-old kids, and you're like, damn, what was I thinking about at that point in my life?
Oh, please. The other day, actually, me and my wife were in a restaurant and wherever. I don't remember where we were, but I remember that two EMTs came in. Now, I wasn't holding my chest and they weren't coming for me, so I felt good about my chances of getting out of there.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at these guys and I'm like, man, they said, these fucking guys look like they should be going in to eat dinner now. Never mind, like out here riding around in an ambulance saving people.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my God, these big kids that are that age in their 20s, they look so young.
Oh my God, it's scary.
Yeah.
So, I'll tell you, I went to go. Part of my new responsibilities at my job. I'm bidding work again. I haven't done it in a long time. So anyway, there's a job not too far from my office. They tell me to go see it, and I have to make this appointment with this kid. I call him up and I make an appointment with him, and I don't pick up anything on the phone. But when I pull up there, it looked like take your son to work day. Like dad took his son to work, and he was busy, so he sent the son out to get me and bring me in. And I want to say, does your dad know you have a hard hat and a jacket up around? This kid looked like he was 15 years old. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not exaggerating in the slightest bit. And he walked me through the job, and the whole time, all I wanted to say to him was, "How old are you? And does anybody know that you missed school today?"
Yeah, really.
And he's going, "Yeah, that was." He took a phone call. He goes, "Oh, that was my wife." Your wife.
Yeah.
I didn't have the heart to ask him how old he was.
Listen, that's when they turn around, they tell you something like that. Then he's like, "Yeah, I got 2 daughters and a son. One's 5, the other one's 4, and the other one's 6 months. And man, we got 3 kids, and we want to have more." And it's like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
I'm telling you, Jeff, if this kid was like Ralph Macchio from like the 80s, like he's just. I'm looking at him. I'm going, this kid's probably 24, 25 years old. If he looked a day past 15, I'd be shocked at this moment in my life. So,
it's unbelievable, man.
And I said to myself, I know I've become the old guy. I am that guy that when I was young in this business and I would go meet to bring somebody, walk them through something, or go to meet, and they were the old fudgy. I said, that's me now. I'm that guy.
Yeah, but we don't look at ourselves that way.
No, I don't. But when you're staring across at a kid who's got to be, who I've probably been in 3. I was probably 20 years into this business before this kid was even born. So I said, "Oh my God!" It was frighteningly scary, and a real slap in the face. So I just want to.
There's a guy that I work with. I asked him a couple weeks ago to come see me, right? Because I had a question about some gardening stuff that I wanted to do with my house, and landscaping. Not gardening. Gardening is tomatoes. Landscaping is a different story.
It's a different thing.
So he finally comes into the office today. This is after a couple weeks, sending messages to him through other people.
Right.
Telling people to tell him that I'm mad at him because he wasn't coming. So he finally comes in. I looked at him. I didn't say a word. He smiles at me.
Mm-hmm.
So I get up from my desk and I shut the door. And I sit back down. Now, the half of it is a window, so he could see me. So I just start mumbling about him behind the glass. And then he just walks out, and he does what he has to do when he comes back. And I'm sitting there waiting. So I'm like, "Do you have a few minutes for me now there, Governor?" I said, "I've been waiting long enough." So he turns around, and we talk about what we had to talk about. And we talked about things for a few minutes. Then he sends this text to me. He goes, "Good seeing you, boss." Right? So I was like, likewise. I said, "You should stop by more often." He goes, "You guys are all angry at the garage." Just the way he came off, that you guys are all angry at the garage. And I'm thinking about it. I'm like, no wonder nobody wants to come here. Every time they come to the garage and they ask, "Is this for something?" And I'm just like, "Nah, whatever. I don't care. Whatever. Go. You can't figure it out. Well, you don't need it then. What can I tell you?" Or they ask my boss something and he's just like, he don't even talk to them. They must hate it. They're like, "I don't want to go up there. I don't want to go up to the 60s.
Nobody wants to go visit the garage.
Yeah, exactly.
Which in a way is the good thing. If they don't come in, you don't have to do anything.
Dude, they come in anyway. There was a guy the other day. He comes in. He tells me he needs something. And he's like, before he goes, wait, one more thing. He goes, "I got something that needs to be welded by the welder." And the welder is right next door to us. I'm like, "So go talk to the welder." And he's like, "Well, I figured." I'm like, no. Welder works for shops, not the garage. Get the fuck out of here and go talk to the welder yourself. I'm not talking to the welder. I don't even know what you're talking about. I'm not even listening to you anymore. Get out. And I don't know if he got his shit fixed or not, but I know I'm not talking to the welder for him. He's on his own.
Yeah. All Rockin' Sports, Jeff and Tom doing our thing here. About to bring up some interesting football topics, so stick around and make sure you come on back next week. We'll be doing show number 534 next week. On our way to this summer, July 31st, we'll bring in our starter. 8 years doing this, and 500 and something show, 570 shows, I think, by then. I'm not really sure. I'd have to kind of do some math. 560 something show. So
There's not that many weeks till July, bro.
yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. Well, let's figure that out. So you got all of April, all of May,
I'll
all
figure
of
4,
June.
8,
12.
12, 16.
All right,
16 to 19, 20 maybe.
So 5 will be at right around 550th show. We're gonna have to do some sort of celebration, even if it's just on the air. We'll have to do something. We can't let
No,
that.
I understand. I understand that the half man is not feeling all that well.
Yeah, I did see him pop up today for the first time in semi good spirits. So, but I do. Half man's had a rough period, and I let you know I offered for the half man to move into my house, and it was
my
declined.
God, you got to be kidding me.
That's how bad it was for the half man.
What happened to the beautiful relationship he had?
I want to say, with all due respect, it turned ugly. And I mean that in the literal sense.
Oh man.
Yeah, I think he finally figured out that what the fuck. But yeah, so I don't know where the half man's been staying. I think he's been couch surfing. I don't really know where the half man is. He's been in the hospital for a while. He's not answering much in the way of calls and stuff. But yeah, a couple of weeks back, I actually called him up and said, "Nam, I don't want you doing that. You didn't stay here for a month. Come in, stay for a month, and get yourself on your feet." And he said, "Thank you. I'll get back to you." And I haven't heard from him since. So.
Well, listen, you know what? He's not going to take advantage of it, I guess is the best way to put it. But the half man is he's the half man, Tom.
Yeah, I still would like to do our trivia contest that we spoke about. So I he's a key cog in the and
I would say it's
our young
I don't
lad
know who's
from
more of a key cog between the three.
Well, I think we might have to take it to 4 because I think our young lad from last week has to be in with his Reggie Jackson card from 1966.
Oh my God, we never got to talk about him.
I had a busy week twice. I was on my way home, and I wanted to call you, but I got busy on the phone on the way home and never got a chance to call you. But yeah, that was quite the interesting conversation.
Oh well, yes. I would like to know how that happened.
I'll tell you all that off the air, Jeff. I think that'd be best. But
listen, I hear you. I'm not looking to push anything. I think the coast is clear now. I haven't seen anything in a while.
I think you're right.
But yeah, that was great because I remember that. Hey, yeah, you can come on whenever you want. I'm like, what the fuck is he doing? Because like certain times when certain people say things, like I'll jump off to the side and I'll check them out. Like on Facebook.
Yeah.
I see them and then I'm like, what the fuck is that? What is that?
Yeah, there's been a few of those lately.
Man.
Off the air, as we've talked about off the air.
Listen, I would firmly believe that young man spent time in an incubator and they didn't put the fucking heat up high enough. And a couple degrees of cool weather just didn't allow for certain development.
Yeah, very nice kid. I just was taken aback by the argument over the Reggie Jackson card, but that's a whole different.
Yeah, what was the year he said on that?
1966.
1966. Yeah, right.
Anyway, let's move on. Jeff, Bruce Arians up and quits his job, and Todd Bowles gets the job. Now, there was a ton of rumors going around for the last 2 days that this was a Brady power play. And Todd Bowles comes out and says, no, I was probably going to retire after this year, and I wanted to give Todd Bowles a chance to be the head coach with a really good team, with a really good quarterback, because I think he deserves it. And people were taken aback, and most people didn't believe it. What's your take on Bruce Arians and his decision to step away at this point in the season and basically handpick Todd Bowles to be his successor?
I agree with all of those that say that this is bullshit. Okay, I don't care. One of the things I read that Bruce Arians said is that he didn't care about the Hall of Fame.
Yes,
I don't believe that. I don't know if he was a player or what his coaching experience is, but I do know that as the head coach, you're pretty much halfway there with one Super Bowl win. And I don't see you backing out at the last minute, knowing that you probably have one, maybe two more tries at getting to another Super Bowl and winning, and possibly winning 2 in a row with Tom Brady, unfortunately. So I think that was a bullshit. I think that Bruce Arians said that I'm not retiring. I'm staying on. And Tom Brady turned around and said, I'm going to retire. And there was some behind the scenes maneuvering, and they'll say, all right, this is what we'll do. He's going to retire. You come back. Todd Bowles will be the boss, the new coach. Bruce Arians is going to go upstairs. This is what I don't understand, and nobody's yet to mention. Tom Brady is going to allow himself to be coached by a man that used to be the coach in his division, whose team he used to beat up on.
Oh yeah, no.
Now that's his head coach.
Yeah, it's an interesting. I think that's simply. Again, I 4 hours ago I would have argued with you. I would have agreed with you, I should say, on the Brady conspiracy theory. I honestly believe. I listened to a guy by the name of Ira Kaufman, who's big in the Bucks circle. You know, he's a writer, very big on that. And he came on one of the shows I was listening to and said, "No, straight up, dude, that's Bruce Arians. He's known for a while that this was going to be it, and he wanted to make sure that Todd Bowles got the job, and he had a chance." He said, had Brady not come back, he would have stayed around because he didn't want him to be left with Kyle Trask or Blaine Gabbert or whoever the backup quarterback is. He said, but once Brady came back, he knew that he could leave and it would be a decent team no matter what. So I'm going to buy into it and give him credit for it. I was surprised that they didn't give the job to Leftwich, but Bowles, and I think Brady's happy with it because I think Bowles will basically say, you guys run the offense, I'll take care of the rest of the team.
Well, I think that any writers or any beat writers or any media coverage is just going to respond and tell you what they're told.
That's very possible.
And this is going to be a press release from the team itself. This isn't somebody that's going to be sitting there knowing the inner workings of this team, because if not, we would have heard this name before with Tom Brady may very well come back. And I mean, yes, I heard the calls that Tom Brady would come back. And Tom Brady telling us that he retired and came back so soon that was find that insulting.
Oh, I would agree with that. I think that was all a power play to try to get himself traded, and it didn't work, and he had no choice.
It was a power play to get away from Bruce Arians, I believe.
I don't disagree with that. I don't.
Because why now all of a sudden it's cool that Todd Bowles is going to be a coach? This is a guy, he was a nice enough guy. He was very monotone in everything that he did. He didn't know when to call timeout and know how to use the clock.
Yeah,
now
very
he's
smart
head coach.
Yep.
Okay. Now you went from Bill Belichick, of a cerebral assassin, to Todd Bowles that couldn't even know when to fucking call a timeout.
Interesting. You know what? Jeff, you're not wrong in this whole thing. They gave him a 5-year deal. So this guy's not going anywhere for a while.
A 5-year deal. Wow. And he's 58 years old, too, I believe. 57, 58 years old.
Yep. He's not going anywhere for a bunch of years. He's going to be the Tampa Bay coach. I don't know if he's the right guy for this whole thing. I will tell you this, though. The odds have changed, and I have the top 10 teams who, based on Las Vegas, who they think is going to win the Super Bowl this year. And I'd love to have you try to go down through the top 10 and tell me who's in there.
Okay. As always,
All right. So, all right, Jeff. So I think some of it's going to be easy. I will tell you that there's one team I think you'll be surprised is not in the top 10. But I will say I will give you I give you 3 strikes. So you can keep naming teams until you get 3 wrong, and then I'll give you the top 10.
Okay. All right.
Okay. And it doesn't have to be in order. I'll take any top 10 team on this list.
Okay. Well, one, I'm going to say it has to be Tampa Bay.
Okay.
Just because Brady came back, it has to be Tampa Bay.
Yep, they've shot up to the. They're actually number 2 on the list. They've actually jumped that high just after the last couple of days.
I'm going to say the Buffalo Bills.
Okay, they're number 1.
I'm going to say the Miami Dolphins
Are not in the top 10.
Okay,
One strike for you.
That's one strike.
Yep.
So we got who did I say so
We
far?
got the Bills and the Bucks
The Denver Broncos.
are number 9.
Okay, so they're in there. Oh man, I would have to say Dallas,
Dallas is number 8.
Green Bay,
Green Bay is number 4.
the Rams, of course.
Number 5, surprisingly.
So how many do I got left?
You got 1, 2, 3, 4 left with 2 strikes. One of them,
One strike,
I don't
one
think.
strike. Only one
I'll tell
strike.
you what, you have 2 strikes left.
Oh, okay.
And I think one of them is going to be a bit of a surprise. So one of them you're going to have to do a little thinking. So
Okay, well, I'm going out on a limb on this one,
go ahead.
and I'm going to say Kansas City.
Yep, Kansas City is number 3.
I would have figured that Kansas City, after losing the receiver there, would have fell down the ladder. So what do I need? 2 more to finish out the top 10, or
You need 3 more.
3 more?
So you've already named the Bills, the Bucks, the Chiefs, the Packers, and the Rams. You got the top 5, and you got the Cowboys and the Broncos. So you have 1, 2, and 3 left.
The Bengals.
The Bengals were the team I was surprised are not in the top 10, Jeff.
Really? So it's strike 2.
That's strike 2, Jeff. So be careful. You're about to be whammied, as they say.
Okay. All right. And I'm going to go give me a hint. AFC, NFC.
I'll tell you this. You have one NFC team left. They made the playoffs last year. And 2 AFC teams. One of those made the playoffs last year.
Wow.
No. Neither one of the 2 AFC teams made the playoffs.
I got to go San Francisco and the 49ers.
Yes. San Francisco 49ers are the last NFC team.
No, I got 2 AFC teams.
You have 2 AFC teams. One, I'm telling you, I'd be shocked if you got. The other one you should have gotten already.
Cleveland.
That surprised me you got that one because Cleveland is in there, and they are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, number 7.
Wow.
They have
So now I'm down to 1 team left. One team.
You're number 10. This is
Oakland Raiders.
very good guess. No, Jeff, and you struck out on that last one. It is the Los Angeles Chargers.
Oh man, I forget
The
about
Los
that.
Angeles Chargers. So the top 10 for as far as Las Vegas is concerned, it's Bills, Bucks, Chiefs, Packers, Rams, 49ers, Browns, Cowboys, Broncos, Chargers. Anybody in there surprise you?
The Broncos, somewhat.
Yeah, I mean that's obviously us. Obviously, the Russell Wilson factor in there now.
Yeah, I don't know if that team has enough around them, and I'm gonna say the Browns. There's a lot of surprising things about the Browns, and I chimed in on a conversation with you and John. I don't think that Watson should be held should be suspended for anything if he's found innocent. What is the point? What are you suspending him for if he's found innocent?
Well, the NFL still has a morals clause. Now, I don't disagree with you, but I think they have to suspend him. I think if the NFL were to go into the regular season and let him play, you would have. I mean, there's already been what's his name? Jim Thome, the baseball player, former baseball player, and his wife are long time Cleveland Brown season ticket holders, and they've actually asked for their money back because of the signing. And I think now, if you saw his press conference, he came out there and was emphatic. I didn't do it. This is bullshit. Blah, 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 blah. Which I thought was the wrong tone for him to take. But I think that they
Probably couldn't help himself as soon as he got in front. He's been quiet for almost 2 years.
Yeah, no, but the NFL has to suspend him to at least say, hey, the court system didn't do anything, but at least we took him out for 2 games. I think he's going to get 4 games, wind up with 2 or 3, and that's what he'll do.
But here's the thing: if he got first, he's went to the grand jury twice.
Right.
Okay. I have not read or saw any reports of anything of people protesting him being found guilty being found innocent by 2 grand juries. No charges pressed against him by 2 grand juries.
That's correct. That's correct.
Now, you're saying the morals clause, which I understand what you're saying. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But what's morally wrong? If the guy didn't do anything illegally wrong, what could be morally wrong?
Well, let me ask
There's
you
not
this.
a guy in the NFL right now that has not flashed some other chick at one point in time, because just about every football player thinks that they're above some part of the law or moral society one way or another, whether it's with weed smoking, driving 900 miles an hour, the way their physical treatment of women, men, whoever, kids.
Mhm.
Okay. That kid that just I can't remember this guy's name. Is it the one that got traded from the Chiefs to the Dolphins?
Tyreek Hill.
Tyreek Hill.
Mhm.
This kid had a broken arm.
Mhm.
Kareem Hunt. Video with him pushing and kicking a woman, punching people.
Yeah.
All these other people with everything that they've had against them, and yet they're allowed to come in and play. Yeah, maybe you don't hear they're not as famous a player as they once were. But, I mean, come on. You got to be kidding me. Now, this guy here, sexual assault. So far, 2 grand juries said that nothing happened.
Right.
Well, what's morally wrong with nothing happened?
Here's what I'll say to that, Jeff, and I don't disagree with you to a certain extent, but what if he was found guilty in civil court and had to pay millions of dollars? Look at OJ. OJ was acquitted by a jury, not a grand jury, a jury, yet lost in the civil case. So
Yeah,
what
OJ was a little bit of a different story.
I'm not saying that I'm not trying to equate the two, but Deshaun Watson wasn't accused by one person. He was accused by 22 people.
Yes, I know, but the one thing about OJ,
OJ
had money. OJ was able to make things happen.
So does Deshaun Watson.
But it was OJ. OJ was loved and beloved.
Oh, absolutely. I love OJ.
A lot of I understand what you're saying. Okay, this Deshaun Watson. One thing I've always asked to myself. I never brought it up or whatever. But the other lawyer that's representing all of these women, is he an ambulance chaser?
For the most part, I would say he's an ambulance chaser. Sure.
Is he in it for the money and everything else? Matter of fact, these women, did they think that, or they think to themselves like, this guy hasn't caved yet. We've lost 2 grand jury cases, and this guy hasn't caved at all.
Mm-hmm.
He isn't saying anything. His lawyer said that the truth will come out when the time is right. Yep. And they're still sitting back. Are they sitting on the truth? And when all of a sudden they're like, okay, all of these different juries have found him innocent. It's now time. Let's open up the box and show you what's inside. And we'll show you why our client is completely innocent. And this is fabricated and bullshit.
Right.
Is that going to happen? Is that about to happen?
Don't know.
Because then if it does, and you're going to morally charge him, then you got to be kidding me.
I'm torn in it too, but I'd have to say again, I think that all 22 women were assaulted. I don't. I think I'm going to tell you that probably more than half of them were people who some lawyer's assistant went and did research, found all the people he contacted, and he reached out to all these girls and said, "Were you offended?" Do I think that there's a handful of people who actually were offended? I say the answer that something happened to. I would say the answer was yes. I think there's enough there, and I think that the NFL, regardless of whether I believe he should be because he was found innocent, I think the NFL's got no choice. Otherwise, they're going to have every group in the world run. Don't forget, nobody's done anything because he hasn't played. He didn't play all last year.
Well, you're 100% right. He didn't play all last year, but you know something? Now it's getting to the point where we're getting to the heart of the matter.
Right.
And so far, 2 grand juries have said that they can't find enough evidence against him to put it in trial. And now I haven't been reading up on it, but the little that I have been reading, I don't see any articles anywhere that says this is the evidence that was against him that they said, no, none of this flies.
To me, it was he said, she said stuff. There was no physical evidence.
It is, but when you got 22 people saying something, you think that their case would be just a little bit stronger.
I don't disagree with you. I don't. And again, I'm torn because I think he should be suspended, but I understand the point of, hey, I was found innocent by 2 grand juries, and grand juries, as they say, a ham sandwich. And this guy got off. Now, I don't know if it's because he's Deshaun Watson. If I don't know what was said by the accusers, if there was any testimony, or if they were just reading depositions. I don't know how it was done, but Deshaun Watson is going to be suspended for a couple games. It's going to be 4, and they'll reduce it to 2. Otherwise, But on the backside of this now, the Browns are still holding on to Baker Mayfield. I guess they're trying to get something for him, and they've come out and said, "Hey guys, we'll go into the season with both of these guys, and it'd be like Young and Montana all over."
All three.
Right. Because they picked up what's his name?
What was his name?
Oh my God, they did pick up another quarterback. Was it Jacoby Brissett?
Yes, Jacoby Brissett. Yes.
Yeah. So they said they're going to hold on. They'll hold on to all 3 guys. Jeff, I'm assuming that's just the Browns trying to get somebody to pay for him instead of everybody waiting for him. Now, there's only a couple landing spots, but do you agree with the Browns when they say, "Well, screw it, we'll just hold on to him for the year"?
Well, they're not going to hold on to him for the year. You know that. I don't care what they say. They're not going to hold on to him for the year.
I
Okay.
agree.
What the Browns are hoping soon is that somebody has a devastating injury in practice in the preseason. That's what they're hoping for. And then they're just going to sit back and it's going to be like, who's knocking down next? And just let them come on in with their offer. Okay. Because then it's going to be a big offer too. Okay. Remember that.
I don't know you're going to get as much as you think. And I think really there's only 2 real landing spots for him right now.
I'm not going to say that you're going to get 2 number 1s for this guy. But you're not going to have somebody that's going to say, we'll give you a 3 and a 5.
No, I think a 2 and a 3. I think you can get a 2 and a 3 for a guy like that.
Or 1 number 1, depending on where it is in the
Maybe
order.
maybe you get a late round. If it's Seattle, you're looking at a mid round number 1. Maybe I could see it, but I think Seattle's out of number 1s at this point. They gave a bunch to the Jets. They gave some to they just got a bunch back from Denver, so they do have some stuff to play with. So, but. To be honest with you, I think he winds up in Carolina. I think that's going to be the spot where he winds up eventually. But I think that's.
I don't know about that, man. If that's the case, then I mean, if Baker Mayfield goes to the Carolina Panthers, Sam Darnold should just fucking turn around and retire, and not even matter of fact, don't even say anything. Just pack up your locker and just be like, "Yeah, guys, I'll see you tomorrow," and just fucking walk out.
But could you imagine the number 1 and number 3 pick in the NFL draft from 4 years ago, 5 years ago, are on the same roster?
On the same roster, and just
fighting for the same position.
Baker Mayfield, I'm sorry, I know you're not a fan. Baker Mayfield, to me, still has a position, a place in this league.
Oh, absolutely.
I firmly believe that.
Oh, I agree with you.
Number 1 pick. The guy had a shoulder injury, and now everybody and their mother is all over him saying that's it.
Yeah, I don't think he's a great. Listen, he's a step and a half above what Sam Darnold's put on the field so far.
Oh, please, come on.
I agree with you. I'm not disagreeing, but I feel about him the same way I feel about Deshaun Watson. But I'll say this: I actually think he's done more than Deshaun Watson, in my opinion.
Who?
Baker Mayfield.
I don't know about that.
He went to playoffs. He won a playoff game. He beat Pittsburgh.
He's been to the playoffs once.
How many times has Deshaun Watson gotten there and done anything?
Been there a couple times. Deshaun Watson's gone to the playoffs a couple times
and done nothing with a much better.
Neither one of them has done anything in the playoffs.
Yeah, again, I'm not saying that
one game in the playoffs is not doing something in the playoffs.
Again, I don't think that I wouldn't, if I was the Browns, I would not. You cannot keep Baker Mayfield after everything that's gone on. Short of that, they're not going to be any better this year than they were last year with Deshaun Watson. He hasn't played in a year, and he was okay. He was good. I'm not telling you he's not a good quarterback. He's just not what I don't think he's worthy of moving up from probably number 20 to number 7 for Super Bowl. And the Super Bowl odds. I'm sorry, I just don't see it.
If I was Baker Mayfield, I would turn around and tell them, say, listen, if you're not going to get rid of me, I will never work out with this team again while I'm under contract with this team. Yeah. I will go out and get a personal trainer. Mm-hmm. I will have a few people that I will hire, and I will work out every day just as if I was with practice, but I will not work out with this team and do anything to help this team along. If you're going to keep me from playing and this is what you did, this is how you repaid me, fuck you. I ain't doing anything for this team. I'm not doing dick for this team. I am just here. I got 2 years left, 1 year left, whatever it is. You want to hit me with the franchise tag? Tag me, bitch. You know what that's going to cost you?
Oh yeah,
You're paying him. Tag me. Tag me.
well, it's gonna be. It's still an interesting season. Listen, there's a lot of, I know a lot of quarterbacks moving around. We'll do this more maybe in April. I want to start breaking down the division starting next Thursday, and we're going to do some Sunday Audible stuff. But let me ask you this team: the Browns, the Colts, I'll throw Pittsburgh, the Falcons in there. They all got new quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Are any of them now playoff teams? The Browns, the Colts.
No, because every single one of these teams that needed maybe the Browns, maybe
In that division, though, Jeff?
Maybe.
Okay.
Because you got to figure Pittsburgh is out. Why can't 2 wild cards come out of the same division?
Yeah, because of the AFC West and the AFC East.
That's why I said I doubt it, but why can't it happen?
No, it can. You're right. You're right.
I think that the Browns probably are the ones that are going to benefit the quarterback change the most. Marcus Mariota did nothing with Tennessee. What makes you think he's going to do anything in Atlanta?
I agree.
Okay. Matt Ryan had a good run in Atlanta. He's getting old. Okay. Russell Wilson has gone from a team that was bad to a team that was almost as bad. So I don't expect him to make that much of a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Pittsburgh. I don't think Pittsburgh knows who their quarterback is. I just think that they have a quarterback on their team. Okay. And who did they sign again? I don't even remember. That's
Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah. Come on. That's not the answer. It's not the answer.
Yeah. I'm just saying the carousel spun. I just don't know if it spun to a point where
you know what I think?
Difference.
I don't think the carousel spun. Okay. And people jumped on. I think the carousel had a bunch of people on it that weren't fully strapped in. And what happened is it spun. Guy went this way, guy went that way, guy went shot over this way, and they just happened to land in these different starting spots.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Frank Reich in Indianapolis, I think his reputation took a hit with Carson Wentz.
I agree with that 100%. In fact,
I really do. What's that?
The owner of the Colts actually had what his quote was. It was very obvious we had to move on from Carson Wentz. That's the owner of the Indianapolis Colts who said, and was pretty, I think he actually drove Carson Wentz all the way to Washington so to get him out of town personally in his car.
Listen, a lot of these guys, and this is the one thing that I got to say, okay, we're living in a very, very hostile quarterback environment.
Yes.
Where if you don't deliver instantaneously,
yes,
your career is done.
Done.
Okay.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Everybody said, let's go back a little bit in New York Times to Geno Smith when he got drafted by the Jets. Got drafted in the second round.
Yep.
I remember watching the draft that night and him being all pissed off.
Oh, yeah.
Because he didn't get drafted in the first round.
Yep.
And it bugged him. But yet, here he goes to possibly the biggest market in sports. Get drafted by the Jets, could have had the potential to be a star. Okay. He was a bust.
Oh, yeah.
He was a bust. Okay.
Yep.
It's just amazing that these quarterbacks could get off on the wrong foot on day one entering the league and ruin their career and reputation before they even put a fucking shirt on.
Yeah.
And I think that's when you get somebody like Geno Smith.
Mm-hmm.
A couple years later on down the line, when we had Lamar Jackson, Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, Josh Rosen.
Yeah, Josh Allen.
There.
Yeah.
Josh Allen. Rosen, his career done.
And he was supposed to be the guy who was supposed to be the best of all of them.
Yes. Here is the most NFL-rated quarterback.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
Now he's hanging on someplace. He's a backup someplace.
Yeah, I mean, last year I forget where he was. I think Miami. He was in Miami. I think last year as a backup, third string.
Now I don't remember where he is. All I know is that, like, wow, you got to be kidding me. And it's just that these guys, that's it. That they're done. Like Rosen, he will never be on the field again. Never.
Yeah.
His career is over. He just has a job right now at this point in time.
Yeah.
And his job just happens to be, to hang out on the sidelines for whatever team. Trubisky, you can't tell me that this guy's ever going to be a star in this league and be a viable option at quarterback. Mariota, the only reason he's an option is because nobody's seen him play in a couple of years, and he's going to Atlanta. Atlanta was going to, you know what? What does Atlanta have to choose or lose? Nothing.
Yeah.
So you try him out and you see what he's all about.
Mhm.
If he don't work, you know you're moving on from him anyway.
Yeah.
Would they sign him to a 2-year deal?
Yeah.
I believe.
I believe 2-year deal. Yes.
Yeah, probably the second year is probably they get out of it one way or another, and that's it for them. There's no answer or option coming out of college this year, evidently.
I don't see it. I don't see it. Hey, I gotta let you see Josh Rosen's full name. Can you read that? Let me make it bigger.
Josh Bellinger.
Hold on, let me see if I can make that bigger. Slide it over now.
Joshua Ballinger Lippincott Rosen. Lippincott.
That's quite the name.
Yeah, really.
Now, I didn't realize this. He played in 2018 in Arizona, 2019 in Miami.
2020 didn't play.
Yep, and 21 he played in Atlanta, which I did not know. I knew he was in Miami, but that was 2 years ago, almost 3 years ago at this point. So not much of a career for a guy who came out as the most pro-ready quarterback in that draft.
No, when we see the ones, if he was pro-ready and look where he is right now,
yep.
The other ones didn't do much better for themselves with Mayfield pretty much begging to get the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
And Sam Darnold sitting back like, you know what? I don't care, motherfucker. I'm getting $18 million.
Yeah.
You don't want me to play? I'm getting paid.
Yeah. I saw that Andy Dalton, I think, signed a contract with the Saints, 1 year deal. So quarterbacks are still bouncing out there, Jeff. It hasn't been over. But let's go back to the original. I want to move on to something else, and we'll come back to some football again. But we talked about it. The bookmakers have moved the Bucs way up. They were, I think, 4th or 5th before. They're now 2nd to win the Super Bowl. They're picking basically a Bills.
Is that when Brady came back and Arians was still coach?
I believe that is the case. Yes.
Now
But
I
it
would
did not
imagine
drop
that
today.
they wavered with Todd Bowles as coach.
They're still number 2. Now I didn't see the odds, so I don't know if they went from a
when was the article that you're reading? When was that released?
I don't know. I have to go back and find it now.
We got to see.
But they have not dropped. I did check other places. They're on the number 2 favorite team to win the Super Bowl this year. In your opinion, based on where they are right now, Brady coming back, they've lost a couple players. He's recruiting, and now with Todd Bowles as coach, where do you think the Bucs land right now?
Unfortunately, due to Brady, I think that they're within the top 10 to 15 without a doubt. I think they're a little further down the list. If you're talking top 10, I'd say they got to be somewhere in the middle of the pack.
Well, let me ask you this. Where do you right now, according to that, they're the number 1 team in the NFC. Okay, so you got Green Bay, okay, you got Dallas, you got the 49ers, and you got the Rams and the Bucs, 5 teams. Where are they in that mix? Who's the best team in the NFC right now?
If I had to pick a team in the NFC, I would say that I have to go Rams right now. Right now, Rams.
Okay. And is
I
it
would
Green Bay or Tampa next?
I go Rams, Dallas, Tampa, Green Bay, San Francisco.
Wow.
And I would go Rams because I feel as though that they're going to be the best team. Let them get beat. Cowboys, I just think that after so many years of not getting to where they wanted to be, this is their chance now because a lot of these other teams have weakened. Green Bay because of Aaron Rodgers.
Yep.
But he doesn't have anybody else to play with.
Yeah, he doesn't have a big receiver at this point.
But let's see what happens during the playoffs. I mean, not the playoffs. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The draft.
Yep.
Then Tampa Bay because of Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm.
I would give them the 4th out of 5 just because you got fucking Bowles as the coach.
Had Arians stayed, would you have moved the Bucs up further?
Yes.
So
Yes.
would you have them at 2? Would you have them as the number 1 team in the NFC or second?
I will. I'm sorry.
That's
I would have to say 3.
Oh, okay. So you're just jumping on
You
one
keep-
spot.
Yeah, but that's a big one spot
Sure. Yeah.
when you're talking about 5 teams.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. And listen, if you go through the AFC, there's and we're going to get to this in April. I want to spend a lot of time breaking down the divisions and the better players. And I got a lot of questions for you on the draft. Who's going where? Detroit. I think Detroit to me is one of the most fascinating ones. Carolina's picking 6. Does Carolina go for a quarterback who's up in the air? Or do they go get somebody and try to build around a Sam Darnold or another lesser quarterback? I think that the Panthers are in a very interesting spot right now.
Yeah, bad.
Yeah, it is a bad spot.
Now, you have nothing to lose with building around Sam Darnold.
Okay.
If you're the Panthers, and I'll tell you why.
Why?
Because if it works, so be it. If it doesn't work, so be it. He's gone anyway.
Right.
Okay. Here's the thing: Matt Rule is probably gone also.
Yeah, Matt Rule's coming up on year 4, and if he doesn't, this team doesn't significantly do better, I would agree with you. I think this is Matt Rule's.
Okay, but now you also gave Matt Rule Sam Darnold in year 3 and 4. Now it's not his fault that Sam Darnold is getting $18 million.
Well,
You know what I mean?
I think Matt Rule has total control over the roster, though.
Well, then he has to pay. But you know what?
Right.
I can't see Matt Rule being able to have the permission to make trades.
I almost think he's one of the few guys out there who has the ability to buy the groceries, as they call it. I'm almost positive. I'd have to look at that. But, right now, yeah, I think his career almost, but, if you're them, Malik Willis, Kenny Pickett, they're long shots at best, and you're picking number 6. If you want one of those guys, you're probably going to have to grab them right there. You're not going to get them later. Or do you go after one of the bigger offensive tackles and plug them in there and create a decent team around and then if it's not Donald, it's Andy Dalton next year or some other maybe half-ass quarterback, who can play a little bit, Jacoby Brissett or Baker Mayfield. It's an interesting offseason. To me, they got to trade for Baker Mayfield and draft an offensive lineman and try to build it that way.
Does Baker Mayfield want to go to these places too? You know what I mean?
I don't think he has a choice. The problem is I don't know if they can afford to have Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold, and Sam Darnold has a fully guaranteed deal.
Yeah. Oh, amazing money too.
Craziness, yeah. So it's there's a lot to talk about. There's a few teams that are in positions like that, Jeff, who have picks. Detroit. There's a team that needs a lot of stuff. Do they draft a quarterback? They got Goff. Do they try to draft a quarterback? Do they build a team around him? That's an interesting team.
Yeah, well, there's unbelievable. Goff, they got Goff. He was just Super Bowl 3 years ago, 4 years ago, whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
And now they just cast him aside, send him to Detroit like quarterback hell.
Yeah.
Who knows, man? It's I don't know, Tom. I don't know. What do you?
A lot of fun. We'll have a lot of fun breaking it down for in April. So stick around for that, guys. Hey, Jeff, I do want to get to some music stuff, and I want to get the first thing I got to bring up is Taylor Hawkins, who I don't want to use the word passed away because, boy, passed away is just somebody had a heart attack and died. But here's my thing. First off, I'm not a fan of his work. I'm not saying he's a great drummer. He absolutely was a great drummer. Big fan of bands like Rush. So but I have a hard time, Jeff, having a lot of sympathy when I find out a guy sitting in a hotel room with 10 different substances in his body and dies from it. And I feel terrible for his family, but I see all this outpouring and people talking about how a shining light, and he walked into the rooms and the guy had 10 different substances in his body.
Yeah, it wasn't a good thing, man, was it?
Yeah, listen, he's the guy's been some, he was in Nirvana, he's in Foo Fighters, obviously, he was in Alanis Morissette's band.
Well, he wasn't in Nirvana.
Wasn't in Nirvana? Which one of those grunge bands was he in? Was he in one of them?
He was I don't know where else he started. I know. Well, that was Dave Grohl. That was in Nirvana.
That's right. I'm sorry. Yes, I'm
It was
thinking
Dave Grohl that was in Nirvana.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
in Alanis Morissette's band.
Yes, he was definitely. He was in another decent sized band.
I don't know.
But again, I'm not a huge Foo Fighters fan, so I'm not that I'm running around listening to his music. I'm obviously not a big Alanis Morissette fan, but again, I have a hard time sitting there saying the guy was a bright and shining light. The guy, it's a terrible thing. The guy did it to himself. I don't have a lot of sympathy for it. I don't. I certainly didn't wish him to die, and I feel terrible for his family. They have 3 kids behind. So, but what's your thoughts on all of that?
Pretty much the same as you. It's one thing to me if a guy is smoking weed and then they find weed in his room, and that's one thing. And I just don't see the point of some of the drugs and substances that he had. But, this is a 50-year-old man that sooner or later you got to think that every time I do something, I'm weakening myself.
Yeah.
And unfortunately for him, it didn't work out. And every time that you've seen this guy, he didn't look like he was clean anyway.
Yeah.
To me, at least. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and it seemed like he's been fighting substances for years. And, I listen, I don't know what it's like on the road. I don't know if anybody paid attention. Maybe they didn't know. Maybe they knew and didn't care.
Oh, they knew. Come on, bro.
I'm just saying, Jeff, I have no idea. I wasn't on the road with the band. I have no idea what was happening. So I can't speak to it. But I just have to tell you that, while I certainly say, okay, right, I mean, you have people like Elton John, talking about this guy. Paul McCartney was talking about this guy. And I get it, but everybody says, oh, he's the sweetest guy. He was nice. Dude, he's in a hotel room in another country with shooting things in his body that just shouldn't have been. As a 50-year-old married man with 3 kids, I'm sorry, I just don't have a patience for it.
Yeah, well, you know what? You got to look at it this way, Tom. Okay, that you got Paul McCartney saying things about him, and all of these other guys that are talking about him and bringing him up and everything else. That is the sad state of music today as we know it.
Yes.
Okay, if you listen to the Foo Fighters, they started off primarily as a kind of a grungy, definitely harder than radio rock. I would say.
Yeah.
But now that they're doing kind of like like top 40 radio hits, like for people our age, I guess.
Yeah.
And I just think that Dave Grohl is, I don't know. He's everywhere. Like for a while, every time you turn around, there he was.
No, I say I hate Dave Grohl, and it ain't his fault because but everywhere heavy metal was, it was to accept the heavy metal award for being heavy metal jerk off. It's Dave Grohl. Here's to present the jerk offs into the Rock and Roll of Fame. It's Dave Grohl. Yeah. I didn't understand how all of a sudden Dave Grohl became the king of metal.
Yeah, my daughter was texting me her flight home got canceled.
Oh, where's your daughter?
In Las Vegas or something.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, great. Yes, people may say to me that you seem like a miserable motherfucker, and I am, but it's because of other people. And I'm not going to get into it here, but you go to Vegas, sweetie, and you have a great time. Hopefully, you want a little money,
90 seconds,
have fun, and everything else. But don't cross the highway, whatever you do. That's all I'm going to say.
What's going on with the house? I haven't heard it. Is the house still on the market? Have you guys decided to pull the house off?
No, we talked to the not real estate agent, the mortgage guy.
Okay.
And for what the houses are going for and the money we were putting down and the perfect storm that we were flying into, everything in it, other going up. The new house that was going for around $630 a month with the money that we were putting down was going to end up costing us about $3,500 a month.
Whew.
Yeah.
Whew. Wow.
Yeah. So right now we are in standby mode.
So are you going to drop some money into this house to get it to what you want or closer? Or are you going to try to hope that the market bottoms out, which would affect your house as well?
When the market bottoms out, it's going to fuck up our house as well, too.
That's the point. Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
So, but But the plan is I got to call up this place tomorrow. We're going to be buying a shed,
Okay.
one of those wooden sheds.
Don't you have a shed in your backyard already?
I do. It's a small aluminum shed. We're going to get
10
a
seconds.
bigger wooden shed
Gotcha.
so that we could. We're going to put a lot of stuff in there, and we're going to not empty the house, but we're going to do some things to the house. We're going to put up a wall.
Thank you for
between the
using
kitchen
Blog
and
Talk
what
Radio.
Now going to be our living room.
Okay.
Our dining room to the downstairs basement. We're not using it anyway, and
Right.
I don't know how it's all going to work out. We're going to put up we're going to do a couple other minor things and just see if that makes it a little bit more homey.
Gotcha. Okay.
And hopefully it will.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems as though right now that this is where we need to be, unfortunately.
I got you. I hear you. I listen. I feel your pain. Again. We're here and we decided to redo the back room. It's been on. This will be week. This is the end of week 5 of my torture. I got to see the light. The light at the end of the tunnel's there. I'm closing in on finishing. Floor guy coming on Saturday, and I hope then I will be done with that room. But I wish you well. If I can help you in any way, please let me know.
Yeah, build a time machine, but I got to, speaking of time machine, I gotta run it. I'm sorry.
All right. No, it's okay. Hard Rocket Sports, Jeff and Tom, Thursday nights, 7 to 9:30 right here on the Hard Rocket Sports channels. Make sure you stick around and come on back each week. We do this every week. April 27th will be the big NFL draft show where Jeff and I will just concentrate on the football for the night. Lots of drafts and it'll be a lot of fun. We will be back and forth, and our boy John Marhefka probably will be joining us for at least part of that show. So we'll be looking forward to that. And sometime in April, we'll break out the Sunday Audible show again. And we got a website coming for that and the whole bit. So stick around, look around. Lots of sports here, lots of music topics still. We got a couple more topics to get to tonight. Jeff and I wind this thing up in the next few minutes, but still more to bring up. So keep it on with me and Jeff while we're doing this. So you never know what's going to pop up on a show. Thanks to Joe Mazzone from True Grit for spending 20 minutes with Jeff and I. Thanks to Sam Bone for setting that up. And guys, by the way, I want to do a little Ranger hockey, and I know Jeff's not watching the hockey, and I'm not watching a lot either because Comcast doesn't carry MSG. But I gotta tell you, this Ranger team, 44-19. This Ranger team looks really good. This team could actually win a cup. Now, there's some really good teams ahead, especially in their own conference, and I don't know if they're good enough to beat Calgary or some of those other teams in the West. But this Ranger team's fun to watch. They score goals. They're gritty in the corners. They get great goaltending from was it Georgiev, Shesterkin that was up for MVP. People talking about getting not only the Vezina trophy for best goalie, but possibly the Hart trophy for best player. So, if you haven't watched a lot of Ranger hockey, do it. Also, WrestleMania is coming up. We're big wrestling fans around here, so I know I won't be watching the current WrestleMania. But I vowed the night of WrestleMania, I will watch WrestleMania 3. That's my plan, Jeff.
I'm looking because you started mentioning hockey. I had to look real quick to see who's who and what's going on in hockey.
Yep.
I see some of the team like the Rangers. They look like they're a pretty good team.
I watched it last night. Yeah, they're 44-19, I think, and playing really good hockey.
How many games do they have left? Do you know?
Well, 44-19 would tell me they played 63 and they play 82, so they have 19 games left.
Well, actually, they're 44-19. They've played 68 games.
Okay, 68. So they have a couple of ties, I think.
Yeah, they got overtime losses or 5. I don't know what's counted as what nowadays. To be honest, hockey.
Yeah, some of those games, if you go into overtime and win, you still get a point. I think if you win in overtime on a shootout, you get a point. The other team gets 2 points. If you win in overtime during the 3-on-3, which I don't like,
that's how they do overtime in hockey. 3-on-3.
Yeah, I think there's a period of 3-on-3 hockey. If it's not settled there, they go and they do a shootout.
So stupid.
Yeah. Speaking of overtime, you know what? I'm glad we brought up hockey. We got to get in a little talk on the NFL's new rule.
Okay, go ahead.
Have you studied it? Did you? I mean, basically, they've come out and say, "Hey, What we don't want is to have two. Well, they based it on the playoff game. One of the best games I think I've ever watched was the Kansas City Buffalo game. They scored 25 points in the last 2 minutes. They go to overtime. The Bills get the ball first. They march down the field. Not the Bills, sorry. The Chiefs get the ball, march down the field, and win the game. And on the sideline, Josh Allen never takes off his helmet. Never puts on his helmet, I should say.
Yeah.
And they based this whole rule on the fact that they felt that it was unfair that Josh Allen and the Bills didn't get a chance to go out there and win the game. And I say, bullshit. They had every chance in the world to stop them or hold them to a field goal to get themselves on the field for a shot at it. And as far as I'm concerned, they didn't deserve to win the game. But the NFL now has made a rule where both teams have to touch the ball at least one time.
Well, first of all, if you're going to call it sudden death, that means that sudden death means sudden death. Okay? If a person dies and it's suddenly die, they don't get to turn around and say, listen, that really wasn't a cool way of me to die.
Yeah.
You know, me falling out of the shower in my underwear and, not being found for 3 weeks is not cool. I'm going to call a do-over on this one,
Yeah.
Not the way it goes.
No, that's not the way you go. Yeah, I'm totally against this. Now it's only for the playoffs, Jeff. Regular season rules don't count. It's just
Regular season should be sudden death.
And that's
And
basically
however it ends, it ends. Okay.
Yes.
You got to remember the millions and millions and millions of dollars that some of these guys are playing, getting paid on this field. And you're putting them at risk for every second longer that they're playing. You're putting them at risk. Here's what you should do for the fucking playoffs. Okay? You flip the coin. So it's me and you.
Yep.
Okay. The Jets versus the Giants. And we're going into overtime. We meet at midfield. You're the home team. So I'm going to call. I call tails. You win the game, the toss. So you elect to receive.
Okay.
Okay. Which is the smart move in overtime football, wouldn't you say?
Sure. You have to do it that way.
Okay. You drive all the way down, but I stall you at my 3-yard line. You get nothing, and you were fucking. You're going in. You're going for everything. So 4th and goal, I stop you. Now we take the ball. We walk all the way over to the 25-yard line, my 25-yard line, and now I start my set of downs.
Okay.
You start from the 25-yard line. If you score, that's great. I get the ball one shot to score. Okay, you kick the field goal, I got to have a touchdown. If I score a touchdown after you score the touchdown, then you get the ball from your 25-yard line. And you just keep doing it from the 25-yard line.
Okay.
Because if it was a free kick or whatever, the ball gets kicked through the end zone, you start on your 25-yard line. So start on the 25.
Okay.
No reason to start on the 40 or the 25 the other way. You know what I mean? You're in the red zone. Earn it. Go through the field. March down the field, and if you win, you win. If you don't win in the playoffs, there has to be a winner. So evidently you would have to keep going back and forth.
Yes. So the first team scores and the other one doesn't. Yep.
Yeah, and I think that's the fairest way, because without what are the other options? You play a full quarter, a 10-minute quarter. A 10-minute quarter, I think, is retarded.
Yes, I agree.
I think a full quarter is dangerous.
I agree with both of those statements.
Okay, because
if I went down and scored first, would the game be over, or do you get the chance to score again?
No, I would get the chance to
because that's basically what they're doing now. That's what they're basically
doing now. To get the ball. Yeah, but is it one of those things where if they go to kick a field goal, okay, and now you kick the field goal first, so now I have to beat you with a touchdown.
Correct.
You can't go kick a field goal.
Well, you can't kick a field goal, and then it keeps going. Then it's a regular football game.
Okay. All right.
Right. So it's a regular football game at that point. So now if the next possession down, I go down and I don't score. So let's say I go down, I get the ball first. I go down, I kick a field goal.
Go ahead.
You get the ball, you walk down, you kick a field goal. So now it's three. We both scored field goals. I get the ball back, go march down. I go to kick a field goal and I miss. You take it from that point. You go back. You kick the field goal. Game's over.
Yeah.
That's how basically this now works.
Yeah, but don't do kickoffs.
I got your point on that. I got your point on that part. I think, to me, my bigger problem, and I don't have a problem with what you're saying, that a lot of people talking about doing stuff like that. My bigger problem is if I get the ball first and I march down the field and score a touchdown, you don't deserve to win the game. You don't deserve another shot at it. I'm sorry. To me, the sight of Josh Allen or any of the other pro quarterbacks sitting on the sideline because their defense sucked is not my problem. All we do is prolonging this thing, and like you said, more injuries.
Well, yes, but you want to know something? With a game like the Buffalo Kansas City game, for example,
Great game.
as a fan, you were going to say no to another 5-10 minutes of that game?
No, but then
I
again,
know I wouldn't.
no, I got it. But then you got the games like Green Bay and the 49ers. It was 10-10. Nobody could score. The field, the wins. Did I really need another 10 minutes of that game? And to me, what the 49ers went down the field. They kicked the Packers couldn't score. The 49ers did, and the game's over. I don't need to have I need another chance. Why? We played a game of football, but we can't.
Listen, if somebody scores,
yep.
Like the whole point of if you get a touchdown, but you're going to have to get a touchdown in a 2-point conversion.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
That's just stupid.
Yeah, I thought that was stupid too. I thought that was, to me, if you go down and score if you kick a field goal, I can understand giving the guy another shot. I don't agree with it, but okay, but then now it's no longer sudden death. This is no longer a sudden death playoff game.
No, sudden death to me in the playoffs is kind of stupid. These teams in the league have grown, so I could see certain changes. I could see everybody gets at least one chance. All right, so you scored a touchdown, okay, or a field goal, whatever you scored.
Yeah,
if you get more points than that. If you scored a touchdown,
I got to match it.
And you went for the 2-point conversion and you made it. Now I have to score a touchdown and get the 2-point conversion.
Correct.
You know what I mean? And we keep going. But if you went and you did the extra point and you just took the 7, and I went down and I scored and then I got 2 extra points, well, so be it. Then you lost by 1 point. What can I tell you?
Yeah,
the same option I did.
I got it, and I think the strategy there is fun, because maybe you want to do that. I don't know, but my biggest problem is I just think that if you're a pro team, you've gone through this entire season and you get to overtime and you can't stop the other team from scoring a touchdown, I really don't care that the other quarterback didn't get on the field. I really don't care. I don't have a choice in the matter. That's why they're going to play it. But I also not sure I like the fact that they have 2 different rules. It's like same thing for hockey. Hockey has one set of rules for the regular season for overtime and then a different one for the playoffs. To me, the game should be played the same way no matter what. So if you're doing this in the playoffs, I almost think you got to do it in the regular season.
Hockey, I could see doing it different in the regular season. I mean, football, I could see doing it different because you're only dealing with 16 games. Okay. So how many overtime games? Some teams go years without playing an overtime game.
I think they've had since I want to say 1980, but it could be a little before that. They've had 32 overtime games in playoffs.
Oh, I'm talking overtime games in general, just in general. Not every team plays an overtime game every year.
No, not at all.
Sometimes they go a couple years, but in hockey, you could go and play an overtime game more often than not. Sometimes
sure. You could do 4 games in a row in overtime.
Yeah. So I just think it's a little bit different. In hockey, you score. It's a different situation than football. Football, the sport itself has changed. If the sport didn't change as much, people are going to want to see more. And not only that, in the playoffs, all right? Let's just say that it was the Carolina Panthers and a bad team. Let's say it was the Jacksonville Jaguars, okay, playing the Chargers.
Okay.
Now, who wants to see Jacksonville advance in the fucking playoffs other than maybe a few Jaguar fans?
If there are any.
If there are any. And especially if you're talking about a team that had Super Bowl aspirations. So you want to really watch the Jaguars in the Super Bowl? I would rather see the Chargers go to the Super Bowl.
100%.
So now all of a sudden, we're going into overtime and the Jacksonville Jaguars are winning. And they would have won or they kicked a field goal, they would have won. They would have gone to the Super Bowl instead of the Chargers.
Okay.
I really don't want to see the Jaguars get into the Super Bowl and have them get in on a field goal at that in overtime. I wouldn't want to see the other team get a chance. I just think that it would make for more desirable matchups also with the better team getting a chance to score again. Hence with the Chiefs and the Bills, that was just a great game.
Oh, it's one of the best games I've ever seen.
Playing that game, I'd still be watching it.
It's one of the best games I've ever watched. I would agree with that. Sure.
Yeah. So to me, I thought it was a cool game. I thought it was a great game to watch. I just liked the game overall. So to me, that game wouldn't bother me if they were still, if that went on for days afterwards, the way they were playing.
All right, listen, it's fair enough. We'll get to see how it plays out this year, obviously. But a couple more topics I want to get in before the show's over, Jeff. So let's move on for a couple more minutes. I hope you got a little more energy.
Yeah, man.
I know you probably didn't watch any of the NCAA basketball. I don't know if you heard about the St. Peter's.
I heard about them, but I don't. There's so many teams I can't get into that.
Yeah, so I'm rooting for Duke and Coach K, and they've played really well the last couple of games. And Final Fours this weekend, and Duke and North Carolina going out, big rivals. Coach K could be his last game, or a chance for him to go to the finals one more time. But again, that's not even. St. Peter's is a little New Jersey City school. I think it's less than 3,000 people, kids in the school. Not a very big college. And I got to be honest with you, and I'm going to make this quick because this is really not a long topic, but I think everybody, I happen to have a friend who is friends with the coach of that team. I'm not a huge fan of the guy, but Shaheen Holloway just got a job at Seton Hall now. His old way, he played college after this run, got him the job. But bottom line is, so everybody was on the bandwagon. They beat a number one team. They beat Kentucky. They beat Baylor. They beat not Baylor. They beat Purdue. They beat somebody in between. Someone at M. Anyway, they're on the big run. Everybody's rooting for them. And I was kind of pulling for them. Yeah, Jersey City, Cinderella. You love watching stuff like that. And I turned on one game, Jeff, and I realized that all the kids are sitting there on the sidelines in Black Lives Matter shirts. And it just bothered me. And it was all over Facebook. And I can't tell you how many people went from I'm rooting for them to I hope they lose. And I just say, why are they the only team that I noticed? And I didn't watch every game, so it could have been other teams. But why are we still bringing the politics into this at this point in time? And it just turned me off to the team. And I was actually found myself in the last game rooting against them.
I don't know, Tom. I don't know. It's people that probably never even dealt with any of the stuff that's relevant to that topic as it is.
Yeah.
And if they did deal with it, they wouldn't know how to deal with it because they'd be crying that it happened to them.
Yeah, I just, like I said, I think it was such a great story. Just let the game play out. What's with the politics? Just play the game and let the kids enjoy it. And I just didn't get it. I don't understand it anymore. And why alienate 3/4 of the public? Because most people don't like it. Most people don't care for it. And even if you were behind the slogan, we all know the organization has their their issues and embezzlements and threats. And it turned me off. And I rooted against them. And I'm glad they lost their last game to North Carolina. They got shellacked. So I just had to bring it up because I got to get that stuff off my.
No, I don't blame you, man. I don't blame you. It's unbelievable how it goes on and how it carries on and the people that are carrying it on and making it linger probably don't know half of what's actually happening.
Sure.
They don't know.
I would agree with that, Jeff. Your Jets have had a good offseason. They got a lot of picks, 4 of the top 38, 9 total all around. Your boy Joe Douglas was throwing around the big M word. Do you know what that M word is? Meaningful. Joe Douglas came out and said the Jets have to be playing meaningful games this year in December. Jeff, what are the chances the Jets are actually playing meaningful football? Doesn't mean playoffs, just games that might matter. What's the chances of the Jets in this division in a very tough conference playing games that mean something then?
First, Joe, there's 17 games. They all matter. Each and every single one of them matters.
That is true.
If one matters more than the other, then you shouldn't be the general manager, okay? The games that matter most happen in September because you want to be 1-0, then 2-0, then 3-0, then 4-0, and so on and so on and so on. You're not going to play meaningful games in December when you're 6-11, okay, or 5-11, and you're going into week 17, 18, whatever the fuck it is.
Yep.
That's not a meaningful game. Okay. Just because you're going to maybe knock Buffalo from the second spot to the fourth spot doesn't really mean anything. All you did was piss them the fuck off. And now they're going to go into the next week's playoffs and pound the fuck out of the next guy. That's all it means. Okay. Meaningful games means that you have something on the line other than picking in the top fucking 10 again.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What you need to do is the reason that you need to play meaningful games in December is because you're starting to realize that your job may be being called for if it doesn't happen.
That's very true. That's
Okay?
a very good point.
So to me, you want my vote of confidence? Let's start playing meaningful games from week 1. And every week that game gets more meaningful because every week that passes that you win brings you one step closer to getting into the playoffs. And then once you make the playoffs, every win in the playoffs gets you one step closer to getting to the Super Bowl. And that should be your goal. Your goal from week 1 should be to win week 1. And then you look forward to game 2, which you should be preparing to win. Not play hard, win. If you don't win, you need to know why you don't win, and you need to correct the situation. That's it. That's it.
All right. Now, here's another interesting fact that he made a statement that Mekhi Becton is working hard, yet he hasn't been working out at the Jet facility, and they have not seen him and have no idea. But he also said that Mekhi Becton will be competing for one of the 2 tackle spots, not necessarily the left tackle spot. Does any of that bother you, surprise you, Jeff, that he hasn't been seen by the Jet doctors, that they don't know what they're going to get when he shows up, and that he might not even be the starting left tackle? They may go back to George Font, who did a really nice job last year.
Oh, listen, if the guy did a nice job, then that's a good thing.
Sure.
But here's the thing, and I said it from day one. You drafted a fucking tackle that was in the shadow of 400. Okay? That was a bad move. Bad move. 20 pounds. The guy's almost at 400 pounds. He was what, 375 or 378 or something like that?
Something in that range.
Yeah, you were less than 25 pounds away from 400. Okay? If he was in the 370s.
Yep.
He was too big. He's too big. He's wearing out bone in college and everything. And forget about it. Meniscuses are just splinted and everything else. You can't have that. So what do you need to do? You need to get a guy that's in shape. You want Becton, you want to be left tackle? You need to report here. We need to see you at this date, and this is what we want you to weigh. Okay? Even if you got him down to 355, he's still going to be bigger than just about anybody else that you could put on that Jets line.
Yeah.
Okay? Weight. I'm not even a professional. I'm not a professional anything. And I know that weight is important for a guy that's huge.
Yeah.
And you want to make him you want to make him your tackle for the next 10 years. This is one of these guys that ends up in the fucking WWF with a mask on, wrestling dark shows before WrestleMania. You know what I mean?
He's one of the giant machines. He's the giant machine.
He's the really, really big machine. Speaking of the machines,
yes.
we're gonna start nicknaming this guy we work with the Machine.
Oh yeah.
He's about 5'2", and we tried to get Sarge to stick, but it didn't stick. So now we're gonna start calling him the Machine.
That in reference to the old or something different.
Just I don't know, something stupid that popped into my head when I was at work, and I'm like, oh, the Machine. He is the Machine. Because he said he's just an anti-machine. Let's put it that way.
Let's see. I got one more. I play a video for you right now, Jeff. Let me do that right this second. I want to play this video. It's being shared, but why am I not seeing it? That's the question. It's not popping up on. Why is it not? Stop sharing. Hold on a second. Let's share screen. There it is. Share it. Oh, there it is. Okay, Jeff, I'm gonna put a little volume on this, and you can tell me the band if you can. And
Well, I seen it was Michael Schenker because of the background. So that's one thing.
Michael Schenker looks like he's a bridge troll. Look at him.
Yes, he does. I don't know who the singer is. The singer looks like Frankie Banali
Yes.
a little bit, but we know it's not Frankie Banali.
No.
I don't know who that is. What's the hat? What's the hat all about?
I think it's all about keeping Michael Schenker's face off the screen because he's about 300 years old.
Yeah, he's up there. Some of those bad German tattoos.
Yeah.
Are we watching this for a reason?
Well, I just wanted it's a new song out by him, and I was curious. You grew up, you were a pretty decent Michael Schenker fan. I'm curious what you thought of that version of Michael Schenker and the fact that he looks like he lives under a bridge somewhere.
Michael Schenker has released more music than I've will ever care to want to listen to. You know, I've never got the chance to listen to compared to the stuff that I do know.
Yeah.
The first 2 or 3 albums that he released, great stuff. After that, we kind of lost track of him. He was the Macaulay Schenker group.
Yep.
And but God only knows what else he did. And no, they just not into some of it.
Just blends all together. I just figured I'd play it. You know, I like to get some new new music from old bands, as I call it, on the air, so we can kind of see if anybody's putting out anything that we would stop on their tracks and say, "Wait, that ain't bad." So that wasn't it for me, at least. I wanted to hear your thoughts.
It's so bad. The music situation and scene is so bad, and a lot of it has to do with bands that just, you know, maybe should have stopped making music, should have not be putting out music.
Yeah.
And then you get a guy like Michael Schenker who may actually put out some good stuff.
Yeah.
But I think that the rest of the bands in a worn out, weakened music scene have made it to the point where, like, you know what? I just don't want to even hear any new music from anyone. There's nothing. There is not one band out there today that I'm like, oh, I can't wait for them to put out a new album.
It's been a while since I bought new music from an older band. I didn't even buy the new Maiden album yet. I still haven't bought it yet, and I'm not running to buy it. So I've cherished the old stuff. I'd like to see some of the bands again coming through playing old stuff. But at this moment, I haven't heard anything. I heard the new Def Leppard song was okay. Nothing. You know, where you go, wow, that was really good. So.
No, it's a shame, man. It's a shame. The music world is.
The new Ozzy song that came out last year was not great. They did the one with Post Malone. Sucked. I thought it was terrible.
Post Malone, really? Come on.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, it is what it is. But
you know the worst part of that is
what?
Ozzy Osbourne leaning on Post Malone to sell songs.
Very true.
Not Post Malone leaning on Ozzy.
Yeah.
And introduced Ozzy leaning on Post Malone.
That's a great point, Jeff. It's a great point. Well, again, guys, that's it's going to wrap us up here at the Hard Rocket Sports Show. It's been fun 2.5 hours. It goes quick as hell. And I didn't even, you know what? I got to bring up the Disney thing before we call it a night. I do have to get it in because if I don't get it in now, we're not going to get it in. So real fast from my end, Disney, some of the Disney people came out this week and said that they're upset that there needs to be more LGBTQ characters in the Disney movies and the Disney parks. And I just shake my head and I say, why? Why does it have to be about a race at all? Why can't it just be a man and a woman? Doesn't matter if they like men or like women. Why can't it just be about the character and let the kids be kids? And I just don't understand it. And I have to tell you, I was a huge Disney fan growing up, Jeff. I less and less the last few years. I will tell you that at this moment, I'm so done with it. I'll never go back.
Listen, Tom, I can't say that I blame you. I remember certain things with Disney with the use of the Tar Baby. Do you remember that? And
yes.
with I forget what Uncle Amos or something was the story
Yeah, sure.
or whatever it was, and it was a tar baby, and I remember that being like, oh my god, and then it was never brought up again, and now you want to have all of this stuff when you watch TV at night, which I've watched a little bit more TV as of late, and believe me, my life is worse for it. But watching TV, and the other night there was a lesbian couple on the TV, and one was a black woman and one was a white woman, and you could obviously tell that it was a lesbian couple, and one of the lesbians gave birth to a little baby, and there was the lesbian raised to two lesbian moms raising a baby.
Right.
If I'm going to watch a movie or TV show with lesbians, it's going to be coming off of fucking Bang Brothers, not off of fucking Disney. I don't need to see this stuff. I don't care to see it.
Yeah, I
don't want to see it.
Yeah, I mean, forget about the show's end of it, Jeff. Why do we have to have some animated character be gay? Who cares?
Because
Why have to be straight? They don't even have to be straight. Who cares?
We need to fuck up America's children.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
We ain't doing it soon enough.
Yeah, we got to
so
it's process.
Little Ukrainian girls singing Frozen in a subway thing. We need to have a little Ukrainian boy dressed like the girl from Frozen singing some fucking other shit because he feels though that this month he's a girl. And that's what we need in this world. This is what we need in our lives. And it's a fucking shame. It's a fucking shame. It's pitiful.
Yes.
Absolutely fucking pitiful.
It is. It's horrendous. And then this whole Florida controversy and all of that.
Well, what do you mean Florida?
They put out a law in Florida and they call it the Don't Say Gay. But it has nothing to do with that. But the law basically says is if you're a school system in Florida, you cannot teach sex to 5, 6, 7, and 8-year-old kids. You cannot sit there and teach them about gender neutral or transgender or any sort of sex education. But they call it the Don't Say Gay bill because it sounds better for that for the left, for the woke. But if you read the bill, it has nothing to do with being gay. It just says if you're a teacher in a school, you have no right to teach curriculum that teaches these things to these little kids. And to me, I have no problem with that.
If I was a teacher in today's day and age, the last thing I would want to do is be teaching any kind of sexual education to somebody who's, first of all, I wouldn't want to do it at all.
Right.
I wouldn't want to do it at all because my luck, you say the one wrong word and that's it.
Right.
Now you're trying subliminal messaging and this, that, and the other thing. It's not good. All right. I wouldn't want to do it. I don't want my 5-year-old or 6-year-old going to school and coming home and saying, Daddy, guess what? I learned this and I learned that today. Like, no.
Well, Jeff, think about it. Would you have wanted a young Cheska to come home from second grade or first grade, 6 years old, and walk in and go, Dad, you know what? We learned today I might not be a girl. I might really be a boy. I think I want to be a boy. I mean, would you want to have that conversation with your 6, 7, 8-year-old kid to try to, does the teacher have a right? Any school system have the right to have that conversation with your children?
No, because you're planting seeds in impressionable minds.
Yes.
And it's not, there's no reason for any little kid to sit back and never mind question it, but to hear any kind of sexual term from anybody that's not a parent.
Right.
And if the parent doesn't think that kid should hear it till maybe they're 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, high school age, whatever, college, doesn't matter. That's between the parent and the kid.
No argument here.
It's okay if you give your friend a blowjob because you're friends. and it's okay to experiment because that's how you find out who you really are. So if Joey blows Donnie, it's okay.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't like it, he doesn't have to do it anymore. And he can forget this part in his life forever until he gets married. And then all of a sudden it rears its ugly head.
Yeah.
And then he chops his kids up in their sleep because he snapped because of suppressing these feelings for 30 fucking years. You don't want this to happen.
No, I don't understand the argument from people on this one, man. I just don't understand. Leave kids alone. Let them be kids. If somebody at 18, 19, 16, 17 years old wakes up one day and says, I'm just not happy with who I am, I get it. Be whoever you want to be. As long as it doesn't affect my life, I don't have to pay for it. Do what you want. But I just have a problem when you're planting the seeds in a 6, 7, 8-year-old kid's brain that this is going on. I got a big problem with it, Jeff.
That's like, you know what? You have nephews, right?
Sure.
Nephews and nieces.
Sure.
Well, I know that you don't do anything, but I know that you like to do your tequila and everything once in a while and let loose, and that's fine.
Sure.
Let's say one of them comes over on a Saturday night, and they're going to stay over. You know, they want to watch the football game with Uncle Tom and this, that, and the other thing, and you're like, hey, want a shot? You want yours with pickle juice or without? and they're like, shot of what? You know, what? Tequila. We got vodka too, but you know, like who are you to turn around and tell this kid, well, you could do this if you want.
Yeah, and you're right.
I mean, come on. What's next? You could reach the pedals, you could drive.
Yeah. Well, that happened. The guy, I don't know if it was in Texas or one of those southern towns. The kid, he had his 13-year-old kid in the car. He let him drive, and the kid, something happened. He wound up hitting a van full of other people. A couple people died in that van, and the father and the son died.
Yeah. So how did that work out?
Exactly. So I mean, listen, there just aren't a lot of bright people out there, and unfortunately, some of them are teaching our kids. And the fact that you have to put out a law that says you can't teach 6, 7, 8-year-old kids about being transgender and transgender neutrals and the binary and this.
I never got that binary stuff. I don't understand it. I don't know it.
Neither do I.
What the fuck is binary?
I don't know.
Them, they. What is this?
I have no idea. I'm not even.
Where's
not
the
even.
room? I need to take a squirt.
Yeah, that's where we're headed, Jeff. There are people out there, and it's starting to show up in all walks of life. We get them now when you're filling out forms, and you know we have to put our forms on. We have to put stuff on our forms for applications about gender neutrals and binary and fuck it. You know, to me, I can't wait to get out of all this stuff and just stick my head in the sand somewhere and just let life go on around me, because I gotta tell you, it's no fun.
No, it's not, Tom. It's not.
It's scary, my friend. But listen, we got to end the show. We packed a lot in tonight, Jeff. We got through a lot, and I can't wait for Thursday next week already.
Yeah, I hear you.
So, but I want to start the thank yous. Thank you to my dad for checking in. It's always a lot of fun to start the show off with him. Thanks to Joey Mazzone from the band True Grit. We wish them lots of luck. Thanks to Sam Bone for setting that up. Thanks to everybody who paid attention to us online or in private, and all the people that we thanked before the show for supporting us, especially our good friend Mark Scott. Make sure that you find American Premium Vodka in your liquor stores. If they don't carry it, make sure you tell them to try to get some of that. It's good stuff, and I believe we're going to be getting some sent our way in the near future. So that'll always be nice. We'll probably get Mark on, and hopefully we'll see Mark when he comes to the East Coast, as we've spoken about in the past. But in the meantime, thanks to everybody for paying attention and watching Jeff and I. So Jeff, I'll give you the final words on this lovely show, number 533. I think it's
533. It's time to go home.
Yes. Okay. Well, I hope everybody has a good weekend. The weather's supposed to be decent, so enjoy yourselves. Final Four is Saturday. Good, and then Monday night's a championship game. It's a good basketball weekend if you like it. The USFL is a couple weeks away, and we're a week away from opening day. So still lots of stuff coming up. We have to draft on the 27th of April. So stick around. We got a lot to talk about here every week as we creep up on show 550 in our 8th year in doing this. So for Jeff, myself, for Jeff, myself, and everybody at Hard Rock Sports, I say thank you. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your week. Please be safe. And come on back when we do it next Thursday night all over again. Hefe, I love you, brother. And I will talk to you off the air. And enjoy your couple days off.
Thank you, Tom. You too. And I will see you soon. And
yes,
I was going to ask you if you wanted to meet up for dinner or something. We even come out there or whatever.
Absolutely. My wife is working this weekend, so any other weekend, you pick it.
Next weekend.
Next weekend, I think is pretty clear for us. So yeah, that'll be fine.
I will be in touch.
Let's set something up, and we'll find a place to go have some dinner and get together. I got a shirt and some stuff to give you, so even better.
Oh, listen, there's more to than just a shirt. I'd like to see you and your wife.
Absolutely, looking forward to it. But
I want to look you right in the eye.
Oh boy,
and tell you that the one thing I forgot tonight
You didn't put your hat on. It's the first show, almost the first show we went through
I'm
without your
fucking
hat.
kill myself. This is gonna mean something this year, baby. Don't you forget it.
Yeah, it's going to mean don't buy this for a Christmas gift for anybody. Oh boy, here we go. So for that guy and myself and everybody at Hard Rock and Sports, enjoy your night, enjoy your weekend, enjoy your week. We'll see you back here next Thursday night when we do this all over again. So have a great night, pal. Talk to you off the air.
I'll see you later, man. Be good.
You too, pal.
Later.